What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Naaackers, and today is September 22nd, 2019, and this is episode number 105. It is the last day of summer, and we hope you have got all of your external jerking done, because it's no longer legal. But anywho, on tonight's episode, we have the MiddleAgedStream and RebelRuby. MiddleAgedStream, how you doing today, bud?
What's up, fella?
It's good to see you, bud. And RebelRuby, how are you?
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, it's good to see you. We actually have a store in a town near us called Hi. That's like a weeaboo anime store.
I don't know why I started saying hi. I have a friend named Nearest, and I call him Nai, and so it's Nai hi, I guess. I don't know.
His name is Nearest?
His name is Nick Regis, and so he goes by Nearest. And so I call him Nai, as if it needed to be shortened more. I call him Nai, so Nai hi.
Okay.
This became a thing. So I say hi all together too often.
Hi. Well, good. It's really good to see you both. Thanks for joining me on the show today. During the show, if you guys would like to ask a question to be answered during the Q&A near the end of the show, you can use the !Q command in chat, and we'll get to the Q&A towards the end. If we're not live and you'd like to ask a question or submit any kind of feedback, please feel free to shoot an email to podcast@naackers.com. And lastly, if you enjoy the podcast and you like to see us grow because you love us and you like to see things grow, even though I just said that, do me a favor. Click on this link in chat. Give us a like. Give us a retweet. Help us spread the news about the show. And, of course, if you're feeling frisky, you can leave a review for us on your respective podcast platform. Before I fumble over my words anymore, what I'd like to do is go around the room and introduce you to everybody here. So, MiddleAgedStream, feel free to start us off.
All right. My name is Jimmy, a.k.a. MiddleAgedStream. You can find me on Twitch and Instagram at MiddleAgedStream, MiddleAgedStream on Twitter, because I got no D on there. There's a character limit. That's why. I tried, so I got no D. I got a D everywhere else. Yeah?
That might be the most clever thing. The clever way of
I'm just going to let that one go.
Let that one sit there for a minute.
All right. And you, Ruby?
My name is RebelRuby. You can call me Casey. I stream on Twitch sometimes, RebelRuby_. I'm on Twitter, also RebelRuby_. If you want to get a little more personal, I'm Casey Ruth on Instagram, and it's completely unrelated to Twitch. It's basically just pretty pictures of food and my dog.
Go follow her on Instagram, because holy shit. Looking at the food pictures that you take makes me feel so virtually inferior, and you just make it look so good. So fucking mega props.
It's funny because I've been watching your cooking videos, and every time I'm watching them, I'm thinking to myself, my God, he has knife skills. He's even holding it the right way.
Well, thank you.
This is coming from somebody who actually did a little bit of culinary school, and I'm going, my God, look at this. He's a pro. So.
That's one thing that I have done a shit ton of research on, was like, okay, I am doing something so wrong. And I started looking into it. I'm like, oh, you know what? It's actually not that difficult to have good knife etiquette. It's just about like training yourself to do it the right way so that you do it all the time. And I still got a couple things to learn, but I'll tell you, once you learn how to use a knife, it's not about the safety, it's about the speed at which you can now slice, and everything just goes a little bit faster. So,
well, it's also confidence, which actually ties into safety, because if you're more confident with the blade, you're not going to have as many hiccups and everything. But yeah, your knife skills are like on point. I'm really super impressed watching those videos. They're very aesthetically pleasing from a culinary perspective.
That's odd.
I'm thinking to myself, my God, he choked up on the blade. He's doing it so right. Everything is right.
I remember watching one of the biggest inspirations in cooking for me, technique-wise, was Anthony Bourdain. And I remember watching one of his videos, and he's like, you always see people cut themselves, and you never think, wow, it's because they're, a bad chef. It's because you're a fucking idiot. That's why you cut yourself. Like, anybody who ever gets mad is mad because they cut themselves, not because of any other reason.
That's true.
But if somebody was like, Naaackers, we got to get you a decent chef's knife, because I use some like random ceramic knife that my mom got me from Kroger. And that's been like my primary knife for like fucking, I don't know, 5 years now. So I think one of my like a Christmas present to myself soon is going to be like a decent chef's knife. I want to spend like $100 at least on something.
If you need some recommendations, I have a full rack of chef knives that are for different purposes.
Okay.
It's easy to find a chef knife that's super affordable, that's really good, but it's also easy to find a chef knife that's super affordable that's actually terrible.
Real?
And
okay.
It's just, there's only a few things that you really have to look for, and it's things like full tang, forged steel instead of stainless and stuff like that. And it's just a few things that make the difference between having a knife for a year and having it for 20 years.
Right.
So, but it's worth it. Chef knives are like, it's something else that I geek out about. I absolutely collect and love chef knives.
What are the like big rectangle knives that are very popular in like Japanese cuisine? What are the names?
It's called a Naakiri.
Okay.
So I have a Shun Naakiri that I got for my birthday, actually. And so it's kind of like a Japanese cleaver, and it's excellent for cutting vegetables in large quantities. So cooking shabu shabu, kind of hot pot or hibachi. That's sort of, it's a machine, and it's really good for quick and precise work. And they're usually about the same price. They tend to be in the same price range as a full 8-inch full tang chef knife as well.
Is it a replacement for a traditional chef's knife?
Absolutely not.
It isn't? Okay. So it definitely has a specified use.
Right. And so you also have to consider that Japanese blades have a different sharpening angle. So Japanese blades are a much more acute angle at the base versus German blades, for example, are much wider at the edge. And so when you get a knife sharpener, you have to pay attention to that, because if you're sharpening a Japanese blade with a German sharpener, you're going to dull the crap out of the blade. And then using a sharpening steel afterward, you have to have a much more precise angle with a Japanese blade. I prefer a whetstone anyway, and
I need to learn how to do that. How difficult would you say it is to learn how to use that?
A whetstone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a matter of being confident and learning the right angle, and it's just a repetitive motion. And you're just it's like a rocking sort of repetitive motion with the knife. And, you're going to mess up a couple of times, but it doesn't actually matter that much, because as long as it's forged steel, it's pretty forgiving.
Okay.
So it's absolutely worth it. Elliot was saying it would be funny if we did a dual cooking stream at the same time.
Where we cook the same thing?
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yes, let's fucking do it. I'm so down for that.
Absolutely.
I need to find a way to get more cooking space and better lighting for because I have this vent that is above my stove and underneath a cabinet, but it's a fan, but it just blows the smoke into your face. Like it doesn't have a vent that goes up into the ceiling or anything. So it's fucking pointless, and also kills any camera angle that I could possibly have for streaming. So which is why I've never done it. But if I remove that vent, I have to rewire for the light that's there, and then I'd also have to repaint because whoever painted that kitchen last didn't take that thing off to paint around it, and so there's just big fucking white spots. But yes, I'm very much down for that.
That'd be a blast.
Dope.
I'm lucky. I have a living room / kitchen that is literally entirely windows. So
oh my god,
I'm
so
super lucky.
Very. All right, well, first thing I want to do is go around and figure out what everybody is drinking tonight, as I am always so excited. I think out of all of the things that we have done on this show routinely and traditionally, finding out what everybody's drinking is something that has gone all the way back to day one. And it's still one of my favorite things to talk about, because Jimmy always has something new. And then, you have weirdos like Bishop who bring lychee onto the show. And then we spend 15 minutes talking about that. So, Ruby, since you are our guest, please go first.
So I am drinking, it's called June Shine. I'm such a sucker for good labels. It's a really good label.
It is.
It's hard. Ugh, this sounds so Portland hipster. It makes me a little bit sick. It's hard kombucha. So it's spiked kombucha. And let me tell you, I hate kombucha.
Really?
Nasty. But kombucha tastes like alcohol, but this actually has alcohol in it. So it's blood orange and mint June shine. There's a little shop nearby that sells all kinds of fancy beverage, but it's a coffee shop, and so they had blood orange mint and honey ginger, and so I got one of each, and it's actually really good. I was surprised because when it comes to beer, I tend to be a little bit of a lightweight, so this is 6%, so it'll it's a steady beverage versus, I could drink a lot of wine and be fine. But beer, if it's a really high percentage beer, then I would be a wild guest on this podcast.
Well, first of all, we like wild, so don't afraid to go there. And second of all, have you guys ever felt like the drunk is different when you are drinking keg beer?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that? Because keg beer is the bestest.
So, I
have a theory.
know. Yeah, go.
I think it's because keg beer, the way it's pressurized in the keg and everything too, there's generally more carbonation in it. And so if you've got more bubbles, the alcohol kind of hits you harder, I think.
Interesting.
This is just my musing on the subjects, but I do think carbonation obviously will introduce I think it hits your blood faster that way. Like it just if you've got the carbonation mixed in with the alcohol. So that's just my personal thought about it.
Okay.
So that's really scientific. That's super scientific. My thought process was a lot more, I suppose, placebo. I think it's like people tend to drink keg beer in social groups, and people are like locusts. Locusts are mild-mannered, peaceful little bugs until they get in a big group, and then they're just fucking rowdy, crazy insects, and they go fly and fuck shit up everywhere. I feel like it's kind of that way with a keg, right? So you're just drinking a beer, coming home. But if you have a keg, it's like keg stands. Pour another one, and I don't know.
You know what?
It's like there's that magic keg that just keeps going, right? You're like, I'm gonna get some more beer.
Right.
Yeah.
You have less option to track it,
That's super interesting. And there's definitely probably like a water cooler effect where it's a congregating point for people and then like forces people to talk while you're waiting to, pump your shit.
It's true. It's like you're gathering around the watering hole and kind of sizing everybody up. How many beers has this person had?
Right.
Should I pour myself half another one? And then you think to yourself, oh, I've only had that one, but you actually poured half of an extra one. There's less of a tracking option when you're drinking from a keg. So who knows how much beer you had?
And I don't know. Go ahead, Jimbo.
Oh, go ahead. No. No, you.
I beat Mega Man 3. I don't know about you guys, but I've never been to a party where the keg has ran out. So I've always felt like I am going to drink as much as fucking possible and I'm never going to run out. And there's always beer the next day. But I mean, we didn't have massive house parties. I would say on average, they were anywhere from 50 to 60 people, I'd say.
That seems pretty freaking
with that many
massive.
people? Jesus. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, but like,
were you drinking out of thimbles?
But you think of like how many people bring their own shit and how many people are smokers and not drinkers. Yeah. Like by the time you whittle it down.
Yeah.
This is true.
So I have a funny, weird, and disgusting story that happened to me today.
Hey, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm drinking because I need to put it.
Oh
back
shit! I'm so sorry. Yes.
I mean, wait, what?
Sorry,
so
Kanye.
I just finished this Vorsteiner, which I've been drinking pretty steadily the last few weeks. Great summer beer, German Pilsner. Love it. Drink it. Delicious. And then I'm drinking a Dogfish Head Super 8 Super Gose sour style beer. It's not the greatest, but you can get a 6-pack of it for like under $10. And I'd rate it a solid 3.5. So not my favorite sour, but it gets the job done. 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Out of 5, but that's a solid. It's a solid sour. It's not. It's not too tart. but it's pretty good. It's a little bit mislabeled. Super Gose would make me think it's really fucking sour. I wouldn't say that.
I love really sour beers too.
I
do
that would
too.
Be disappointing.
I do too.
Sour
But
cherry
it's not
cuvee
bad.
is like one of my faves.
It's not bad. It's what do you expect for $10 for a 6-pack? You know what I mean? You're probably not going to get something that's mind blowing, but it's not bad. It's not bad. So I enjoy it. It's a good summer beer.
Okay. I have a beer that you both need to try. This past weekend was the DIY festival, which is basically like an art, music, and meat festival. So like a bunch of food trucks come and a bunch of beer vendors come, and there was this one super tiny trailer that had Boulevard Brewing, North Coast, and Omme Gang, OMME Gang. So I hadn't heard of any of these, but they have something called Passion Fruit Peach, a Berliner Weiss made with peaches and passion fruit.
It's called Berliner Weisse.
Berliner
the W in the W is pronounced with a V.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's like Hefeweizen.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing. Okay. So Berliner Weisse, Weisse,
Weisse.
Probably one of the best sours that I have ever had. And that one is
Passion
by
peach.
North Coast. So North Coast Passion Fruit Peach.
Did you check it in on tap so I can go look through and find it?
No, I don't even have that app installed.
You son of a.
I you know what? I've installed it like 3 times in my life, and I just never use it, man. I get the beer and I drink it, and then most of the time I just drink the same shit over and over again.
That's why you got to have the app, so you know if you've had it before and you know how much you liked it.
So you could judge me about not busting out of my super lame normal choices.
No. You've really grown
normie.
over the last few years.
Frickin' normie.
Fucking normie.
But
Jimmy, have you been to Loyal Legion in Portland when you were here last? Because I'm fairly certain they have that beer, by the way. I'm like 95% sure they did at one point.
okay.
And they have 99 beers on tap, rotating every month. And so you can build your own flight. This is for you, Naaackers. They can build you a flight based on the 99 beers. It's like $2 a selection. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to choose this flight, but I really don't actually want that one beer that's on there. You get to make your own custom one. And they have ciders, beers. I think they have wine, but lame. They have like Hungarian loaded tots and all kinds of stuff.
Ooh.
You
But
know
let me
what?
tell you.
99 beers and an IPA would not be one. Because fuck
my only-
IPAs.
There's
You know
some
what?
great
I'm
ones
right
out
there with
there,
you.
but there's some great ones out there, but there's very few that I really enjoy. There's very few.
IPAs are too skunky. They're gross. I
Yeah.
hate them.
You have to have the right ones, and you have to also be in the right mood for them too.
Yes. As in, like, there isn't anything else to drink and you're not going to eat in the next 12 hours kind of mood.
As in, I might die in the desert of dehydration if I don't drink this beer.
There's a couple that if it's a hot day, like there's this IPA that they sell in Magnolia, Texas. It's called Yellow Rose Brewing, and that's what it is. It's called Yellow Rose, but it's Magnolia Brewing, and it's a fantastic IPA, especially when it's fresh because it's not too skunky. It's pretty good, but that's one of maybe 5 IPAs that I actually enjoy. So
Okay.
Portland seems to have an IPA, almost like a pissing contest.
it's the
Who
West
can make
Coast.
theirs the most bitter? Or maybe it's a literal pissing contest because that's what the beer tastes like.
Yeah.
Because it's nasty. It's like the hype here is all IPAs.
Oh.
And so that's why I like places like Loyal Legion, because I can say fuck the IPAs.
Yeah. All right. So my weird, disgusting, future telling story. So as you guys both might know, I've had a shit ton of dental work recently. And all of it has been on one side of my mouth. I had a root canal and a crown on a tooth here about 4 years ago, maybe 4 to 5 years ago. And recently, within the past 2 months, that crown has started to wiggle. And it has been loose ever since. And up until today, It has not caused me any issues whatsoever. So I go into the living room and I see some SpongeBob Krabby Patties. I grab one, I pop it in my mouth, I take one bite, and then I feel something clinking around in my mouth. And then I spit on my Krabby Patty, and there is my fucking tooth in my hand. And then I go and look in the mirror, and so the way that they had did this tooth, they had shaved down the entire thing to about that, and then drilled a hole for the peg. And so the peg had come loose from the tooth, and then the peg came out with the crown. And so after a couple minutes of frantically pacing through my house, wondering what the fuck I'm going to do on a Sunday evening, I guess I had a 25% chance of getting the crown back in its original orientation. Because, like, if your tooth fell out, what are the chances that just by looking at it, you could put it back in and it be facing the right way?
0%.
Right. So I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I pushed it in, and it was hovering about this much over, and then I just bit down and set it back into place. But it is currently kind of wiggling around in my mouth right now. And I called my dentist and left a message. Obviously, they're not there this Sunday. I leave for TwitchCon in 2 days, and I don't really know what the fuck to do. I'm going to ask if they can, like, use some temporary something to bond it to the tooth next to it to, like, hold it in place just for the week, or if they're going to just make a temporary crown for me right there just to have something. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. And I am very scared.
They'll probably do a temporary crown. I feel like that's the best option. They'll do something temporary and say, try not to eat on that side. I have a feeling. I think my mom had one of those not too long ago, or not. Okay. Maybe not recently, but temporary crowns are a thing for sure. And they can do it in one visit. Right. So, that sounds. Yeah. I'm just going to say it. My butthole puckered a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't, like, when's the last time you had a tooth falling out? Right? Because that's usually only happens when you're a kid, unless you've, like, there's certain trauma where it got hit. But the whole sensation of a tooth falling out is like, I just went back like 15 years. And not to go into too much detail, but don't smell teeth.
Oh, no.
When they fall out. No. Yeah, not good at all. And my girlfriend's very good about telling me when I have bad breath. So I don't think that has ever been the culprit, because it's been, like, sealed with my gums around it. But, oh my God, so bad. But I can tell you that I was, like, a little scared bitch, like, walking around my house like, I have my tooth in my hand. What the fuck am I gonna do if they can't see me? Like, what if they're booked for 2 days and then I have to go to TwitchCon? Like, what? I'm not canceling TwitchCon. Like, I would rather do copious amounts of cocaine to get me through all of TwitchCon than to not go.
How does it feel, by the way, to know that your tooth, your crown acted as a tomb to encase that rotting tooth flesh? Yeah, not. How does that feel?
It definitely smelled like it. It definitely did, and it didn't look great either. I'll tell you that much. Which is weird, because it's like, how did stuff get under there? That's what I want to know. But I mean, if there's any recurring thoughts, it's that this last dentist. I mean, if I have a crown fall off in 3 years, something wasn't done right. Like, they're not. And I am not, like, I eat a lot of gummy stuff. I don't eat a lot of tar candies that, like, rip fillings out and stuff. You know, I'm pretty conservative, but and it's not even one of my chewing teeth either. It's one of, like,
how far back?
It's like right here.
Was it? So pretty far. So you probably wouldn't even be eating gummies there necessarily.
No, it's my 4th tooth from the back.
Did you finish the Krabby Patty?
No, I spit it. I was too scared. I haven't eaten anything since this happened, and this was like,
I've been like,
yeah, no. As soon as I took that one, because on the left side of my mouth, I had a root canal, a crown, and then cavities filled. So 3 teeth in a row on my left top side were all worked on the same day, and so that's still kind of sensitive as well. So there's no comfortable place to eat currently. Don't feel bad for me. This is my fault and my dental hygiene, but. Man, seeing my tooth in my hand. And the other thing too, the crowns are ceramic. They feel like metal. inside your mouth. Like they're so fucking rock hard. Like, can you just give me all crowns? Like if they could all be that sturdy, please God. I don't
Did it
actually
still
want
feel
that.
that way after that many years? It still felt really solid. You were aware of it.
Which one?
The crown that you had in before it fell out, it still felt really solid.
Always.
Like all the time.
Always.
I feel like that might be kind of a bit of a red flag too. They should feel super natural. You almost shouldn't even realize they're there.
Oh no, that's what I meant. Like it felt solid, dude. Like it felt
solid.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not saying like it felt like you were biting on aluminum. It felt like okay.
No, it felt like a normal tooth, but like
right.
compared to how your teeth actually feel, it's like this super rock hard metal. It's like ting 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 when I was at the my most recent dentist visit, which I have been now, I think I've had 5 or 6 visits in the last like 40 days, like procedure wise. It's been rough. The last time when I was getting my permanent crown on, she was trying to fit it and it wasn't fitting and she dropped it and it fell in the back of my throat. So I'm sitting there with my mouth open and then it falls and I go, ah! And then she's got her hand in my mouth, reaching to the back of my throat, trying to grab it. I'm like, oh my God. And then I just spit it out.
This
I'm
is
like,
my nightmare.
Here you go,
This is my
dude.
nightmare.
This is why I didn't go to the dentist for so goddamn long. But hey, you know, it's got to get done. So I don't know what they're going to do. I would assume that they could just do a temporary crown, but I'm afraid that the tooth isn't going to be fit for a new crown, and they're going to be like, look, there's too much damage. We can't do anything.
It sounds like it might be a root canal.
It was a root canal already.
It was already, so they might have to do an extraction then.
Yeah. That's worst case scenario. That's not guaranteed, but that's
Just tell them you're scared and they'll drug you right up. They'll just give you all the drugs.
Yeah, they do crazy amounts of pre-drug. Because I told them my story of how terrified I was to be sitting in this chair, and like I've already shed tears once at this office, and they're like, okay, we're dealing with a child here, so we need to give him as much drugs as possible.
Fear of a dentist is a legitimate thing. I mean, it's such a vulnerable thing, so it makes sense. It's not like that's not a bad fear. It's not, I don't know, it's not clowns, but but I feel yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty legitimate as far as fears go. So
right.
Clowns are. Let me just stop you for a second and say clowns are a legitimate fucking fear. Okay.
For you, they are.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have a fear of clowns. It's not just guys wearing Nintendo 64 shirts. All right. I'm just saying. There's a lot of people that have. Why else? Okay, think about it for a second. Why else would they fucking make the movie It if people weren't afraid of clowns?
Right. Right.
Think about it.
I mean, I feel like if any circus, any carny was stealing children and murdering them, I think that would be a fear. The balloon animal guy is stealing kids and killing them. I feel like that would be a fear too.
Well,
I think the movie It has a lot of replaceable characters.
It's definitely Hollywood's fault, because now I'm definitely terrified of blind people, because there was that one movie where that blind dude like kidnapped people and impregnated them with turkey basters. No one else saw that? Did I dream that? No. That's the other fucking thing that I forgot. No, there was a movie where like 3 kids tried to rob like a blind veteran in his house, but he was like a master John Wick assassin and just killed everybody and then tried to impregnate people. But anywho, the thing that I just now remembered, and I didn't even realize until Weenie and I were standing at this festival tonight, I dreamed last night that one of my teeth fell out. Like,
oh, that's a thing. That's like a legitimate, there's a psychological backing for that. Dreaming of your teeth falling out.
Which is like immortality, right? Like it's the fear of decay and your body deteriorating, which I've had plenty of those in the past, but I've never dreamed about my root canal crown falling out the day before my crown falls. It was the weird, I've never...
It was right beforehand.
The day before, yeah. Super fucking weird. And like, I'm super aware of my dreams, but when I was sitting there talking to Weenie about it And I'm like, you know what? I had a dream because the other part of my dream was that I was naked in a hotel room and my dentist walked in and was like, oh my God. You said it was that small, but I wasn't thinking like that small. But I had no idea that I had dreamed that it had fallen out until I was talking about it. I'm like, oh my fucking God. I dreamed that it was going to fall out and then it fell out. That fucked me up a little bit.
I think it's association with powerlessness, losing a tooth, and then like the naked thing. I think it's powerlessness.
Those probably go hand in hand.
What causes that kind of dream? Apparently, I don't know for sure.
Now you know who's the big spoon in my relationship. We're gonna say Jimbo.
Yeah, we always knew that.
What?
No, I was gonna say. You guys just reminded me because you were talking about premonitions. You reminded me of somebody who explained to me there's the science behind deja vu. You guys have had deja vu before?
Yes.
I'm sure. We all have, right?
Weekly.
So deja vu, it's basically, of course, if you don't know what I'm referring to, those of you listening to this later, it's where you think of something that you already remember you thought happened to you already, and you're in that exact same moment, the exact same things happening. Sometimes people thought that, it's from a dream or something like that, right? Well, I guess there's some research done on it, and the scientific explanation for deja vu is when these synapses fire to the memory part of your brain, they usually send a signal to make those. And you have short-term memories and long-term memories. And what happens is you get basically a double feed or a double signal that goes to the short-term part of your brain. And it happens so fast, it's almost instantaneous. It makes the imprint and then makes the imprint right after it. So you think in your brain that you've been in that exact same moment before, when the reality is you're just getting double stamped at the same time. And so that's where deja vu comes from.
Your brain feels like it's driving down the road, but really it's paving it right in front of itself. Yeah. It's super, super cool.
I hate it.
I like reading scientific novels a lot. And there's one I'm reading right now called The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And so it's about people who are going through such neurological deficits that they have memory loss or they have body awareness loss. There was a man who was in a constant state of deja vu because he couldn't process long-term memories. And so every feeling of every moment and every day felt like deja vu to him. So I can't imagine.
Which now all of a sudden I think of that movie that came out in like the early 2000s called Memento. Did you ever see that shit?
Memento, yes.
He has like no long-term memory and he just has those few memories and he relives this day over and over and he's trying to repiece all his shit. And yeah, that's a cool movie.
One of the most brilliantly formatted movies of all time. So cool.
I've never seen it. Now I feel left out. Fuck.
Oh, it's dude, you got to watch it. It's really good.
Really, I don't know. It's kind of a cult classic, I guess.
Okay. Real quick, before we get into the gaming news and all that good stuff, I had just finished the New Holland Mango Sour Ale, which also one of my all-time favorite sours right now. Very, very good. And I also have, I don't think I ever knew that Bell's makes an Oktoberfest, but I now have their Oktoberfest as well. And it's pretty good. It's really hard for me to like Oktoberfests that are mainstream, if that makes sense. Like any of the big chains that do Oktoberfest, it's always hard to like go somewhere and get like a draft Oktoberfest that is actually seasonal, not just only sold during the season of, of that shit. So, but this is a pretty good Oktoberfest. I have no way to grade them really. Like, I don't know what makes a good Oktoberfest. I just know what I like in an Oktoberfest, and it's pretty fucking good, I will say.
So what is it that you like in an Oktoberfest?
I definitely like how can I describe fall without pumpkin? There's like that certain scent, or there's just kind of like that musk that Oktoberfests have. I definitely like them lighter than darker, which I know isn't necessarily traditional. And something that's a little bit more, has more of a bite than something that's more dull. Like I feel like the darker, dull Oktoberfests are the ones that I don't enjoy more than, some of the lighter ones.
So you like the ones with maybe warming spices in them?
Yeah,
Sort of
probably.
clovey kind of
Clove.
aftertaste. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you want a real good traditional Oktoberfest, which is the Marzen style beer, I would recommend one that kind of fits what you're describing.
This one says Marzen.
Yeah, that's type of Oktoberfest is a Marzen style beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm officially never buying another beer without consulting Jimmy first.
Or his Untapped.
I do drink a lot of beers. So I would encourage you, and I bet you they might even have it at the place that's close to you. To get the if you get German, the Germans make the best Oktoberfest beers, bar none. And the best one I think you would like is the Spaten Oktoberfest beer.
Spaten.
Spaten.
Yes, Spaten.
Like how I try to say Spartan, but with a German accent. Spaten.
Yes.
Spaten.
Now, they have more than one. It's just their standard Oktoberfest beer, not the double or anything like that. Just Spaten Oktoberfest. It's got like the Spaten. It looks like it's got a red label with like a white little shovel looking thing on top, and it's like a blue and white in a green bottle and blue and white paper around it.
So I just Googled Spaten, and the first result is Spaten. Find my child and friend on the App Store. Why are you trying to find your child and friend? That's a little fucking weird. It's got 4.4 ratings out of 5. So favorite amongst pedophiles. Like, what the fuck is this? Anywho,
endorsed by me.
Yeah. Oh my god! All right, you know what? I actually remembered the past couple of podcasts. I have left the welcome into the show. We're just getting warmed up for the entire show. I just get so into the conversation that I forget to change things. But today I actually remembered, so I'm a little proud of myself. Buddy. Thanks, man.
Are you saying that you're not into this show? I'm insulted.
Ooh,
he's not so
you turned that around on me. God damn it.
Totally kidding.
I don't even remember changing it, so I don't know when I did it. So it could have been at any time. It could have been the other Naaackers. Is Jimmy going to grab a goddamn beer? God damn it. All right. So let's take this opportunity to learn a little bit about Miss RebelRuby. So I had wanted to originally have you on for like a 1v1 episode, which I still would love to do. But since we have you here now, I would love for you to take this opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself. If you want to dive into your stream and your career, like I would love to know a little bit about your history and kind of what makes RebelRuby RebelRuby.
I feel like I'm just sort of a kind of a big old amalgamation of my experiences career-wise. I wanted to be a psychologist. I decided after 2 years that I didn't want to go to school for 10 years. So I left school with an associate's and started working at Apple. So I got really into technology there, interested in just tech and troubleshooting and the community surrounding technology and gaming and stuff like that there. And then I was headhunted by so random, a wholesaler for an interior design home decor company. And so I worked there for 6 years, and stopped working there last September. And so now I'm in this weird sort of freelancing space where I'm doing web design and I'm applying for interior design jobs. And then I'm also, I've done photography all my life. So I do photo and video. And so I'm kind of right now a little bit of an everything artist. And so one of my friends said, just call yourself a multidisciplinary creative. And so it sounds really fancy. So that's what I'm doing. So I do web design. I do traditional and digital art. I'm trying to learn, once I have time, 3D design. So designing in Blender for gaming and stuff like that, or just digital assets of any kind. And yeah, I just flew to Los Angeles to video a wedding. I'm kind of just doing a combination of everything until I figure out what groove I fit into best.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where I'm at career-wise. But I worked in home decor for a long time, so I'm trying to get back into that because interior design is it's not easy, but it's kind of fun because I worked at a company that was kind of right at the epicenter of the interior design world. And so I got to go to markets and all kinds of stuff. And I got to work with Pantone to decide the color of the year and everything like that. And so it feels like more of an influencing role in society. And it's fun because, you know, you get to kind of help people create a home to live in with interior design and decor. And so that's kind of where I'm headed right now, though I still want to work with restaurants and stuff to do some creative video projects.
Okay.
So that's the career aspect. The personal aspect of me is I've been doing creative stuff all my life because my mom has been an internationally recognized photographer for 40 years or so. And so I've gotten to travel a lot and experience a lot and eat a lot. And so I've just been kind of doing creative stuff all my life. And I did a little bit of culinary school when I was 19 and decided I didn't want to be a miserable bastard and, you know, work nights and weekends. So I made cooking a passion. And I kind of also brought art along with that and just did artistic things as a passion as well. And I've gotten to combine everything in kind of a cohesive sort of way. And so I'm just sort of working from there at this point. I'm kind of an amorphous blob until I see something that I want to be, and then I do that. So, you know, I recently got into the idea of learning to do ink etching. And so that's what I'm going to learn next, basically.
Awesome.
It's like I see that and I go, hey, I want that. And so I do that.
You just start doing it.
Yeah, why not?
So out of all of the design things that you have done in your past so far, what is your favorite thing to do out of all of them? Whether it's the traditional ink on paper or working in Blender and doing the 3D work?
I think my favorite is probably oil paint. I think oil paint is my favorite, and it's because I loved learning from the masters. Oil paint feels like something that has such history compared to a lot of other things, but oil paint, it's like such a versatile art. I really love that. But I think the second runner-up would be videography. I love being able to tell a story, editing things together to music and stuff like that. And it's more than just a sequence.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Of events.
Your
Hello,
mic,
hi.
your mic dropped there for like 5 seconds, but it's back.
Mine did?
Yeah.
You're good. You're good.
Oh,
You're
God.
good.
Well, rewind.
Repeat yourself.
I like that you can tell a story. So, you know, choosing music is a process and choosing clips is a process. And it's more than just dropping everything into an editor. And I'm working on the wedding video that I just shot not too long ago. And I don't know, it's just a really satisfying thing to put everything together in one place after having, because that was a really long day. It was like a 12-hour day shooting video all day. And
Oh my God.
you don't really know until you drop it all into the computer, and then it's kind of magic. So you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I totally forgot that I got this shot that's really sweet. And, you know, this shot, it's going to make the mother of the groom cry. And, you know,
You already know beforehand.
I'm thinking I'm going to bring them to their knees with this video. So,
You know,
yeah, I think that's my favorite.
Okay. I have a hard time with video editing. There is the larger pull that says, don't be a perfectionist and don't try and spend, because like those food videos that I put up on Twitter usually take 2 to 3 hours, I'd say, to edit those, between just all the cuts on the organization and stuff. But then there's other times where I want to make a really, really solid, well-edited, high production piece of content. But then I know that I'm shooting with an iPhone or like an outdated camera, and I don't want to be a perfectionist when I can do a good job with what I have and just editing it well.
It's hard not to be a perfectionist, though.
It
Because
really
feels
is.
like if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound, you know? you might as well just go whole hog and, but then sometimes you're like, listen, this is just a video for Twitter. I just want to get it done.
Right.
So
and that's how I feel. It's like, I want to edit this. I want to get it done because it's better to get it out there than to try and just perfect like this one thing. Right. Cause I guess it's kind of a different context because you are getting paid for that final product and it needs to be pristine, right? That's the most important day of somebody's life. And I'm sure if I didn't stream on Twitch and I had some more time that I would put some more effort into it. Not that I don't put effort into it, but I would maybe like try to come up with some more unique shooting styles and like try to be better at editing and try to find a way to muscle some tricks in there. But when it comes to those Twitter videos, I'm just like, you know what? Just cut it up, make it look pretty, throw some comedy in there and then call it a day.
Yeah. And I think, wait, what were you making? You were making fajitas, I think.
Oh yeah.
And you can hear Weenie. It's the cutest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. I was like, this is my new favorite video ever. It doesn't have to be perfect,
right?
To be super entertaining. So
my hat fell off my head and into the toilet. Fucking wiener.
I have to say, when I choose music to edit a video to, I think to myself, all right, am I okay if I literally hate this song once I'm done? Because I'm about to listen to it about 500 times.
Right.
Is it going to be okay if I hate this song? So it's a bit of an evaluation required.
I feel you there. All right, so we all have a couple points that we wanted to talk about tonight, just about kind of gaming and streaming and stuff in general. MiddleAgedStream had a first point that he wanted to bring up. So Jimmy, you have the floor.
Okay, so for those of you that are Apple users or iOS users, Apple just released obviously their new phones and everything that just came out. But the other big news they put out was the Apple Arcade. So basically, if you're not in the know, Apple Arcade is a service. So where you pay $5 a month and you have access to, I think it's close to 100 titles now.
Yep.
And they're going to be adding more to it. There are no advertisements on those. There are no in-app purchases on those titles. It is just games. And I was curious to hear your thoughts on this. I know, Naaackers, you've mentioned before in the past, you don't really play games on your phone. And to be honest, I don't play a lot of games on my phone either. However, I do have an 8-year-old son, and he loves playing games on mobile device. And one thing I've learned over the last couple of years is the App Store is a fucking mess for games. I mean, there's a bunch of shit that ends up at the top. There's tons of stuff with ads and in-app purchases and all this bullshit. And what do you guys think? Do you think that this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? I mean, this is going yet another thing as games as a service sort of idea, like a lot of things are becoming. But if you put it together, in my eyes at least, well, you know what? I'm not even gonna taint your thoughts with giving my opinion. I just wanted to present it, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So. Good, bad, indifferent, don't give a shit, whatever. I'm curious what y'all think.
I think I need more information. What kind of games are going to be on the service?
So there's a bunch of stuff that are, well, let me see if I can find a link too, because I know there's a lot of first party stuff, but there's also third party. Like I know there's Sonic Racing on there. That's what, like the new Sonic Racing. There's a lot of stuff from like big time game developers. And then there's some stuff on there too that's very similar to some big, like I supposedly there's like a game that's very similar to Legend of Zelda, a game that's very similar to Metroid that apparently plays really, really well. And the few reviews that I've read about the service has said that the games that are on there are pretty fucking awesome.
Yes.
And that they're really well done. And this was nowhere on my radar, and that even really surprised me because if you've played mobile games, a lot of times the ones that I've enjoyed in the past are usually the strategy type games and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, just there's apparently a lot of very high quality games on Apple Arcade. I couldn't tell you exactly what they are because I don't have it, but I am considering a purchase in the near future. I think the first month's free too. The first month you have it, the first 30 days are free before you get charged.
Yep.
So
for me, I don't have to be personally interested in something like this to understand the value of it. My biggest thing is I hate touch controls gaming because you are at the mercy of how well your phone is put together and how well it deals with touch controls. Now I know, yes, you can.
You're going to probably say what I was going to say.
Yes, but I will let you say it because I love you.
Yes! New iOS update means you can play with your Xbox controller or your PS4 controller and sync that shit, baby. Woo!
Or your 8-bit dough controller.
Right? Yeah, your 8-bit dough.
Yeah. So the whole, thing, I can't think of the word. The whole premise behind Apple Arcade is to have a gaming platform that syncs between your iPhone and your iPad. I don't know about Mac OS, but and your TV for having an Apple TV and tvOS.
Right.
So for one, it's awesome to have things that can sync between all those different platforms. The chip that are put into iPhones, the A11, the 12, and the A13 Bionic chip, are fucking beasts. They are insane graphic, CPU and GPU chips that are put in phones. So while I have no desire in playing games on my phone, because for one, if I have time to play games on my phone, I have time to work on my channel, on my brand. I have time to do other things. So whenever I find myself having time to play games on a phone, I'm like, there's probably something else that you could do work-wise that doesn't involve video games. And that's how I kind of guilt myself out of playing games on my phone. But the games, I've been doing a lot of reading. There's a lot of people that I follow on Twitter that have been talking about it, and they are all loving Arcade. And even people who didn't even think they had an interest in Arcade, they are really liking playing it. I think like you were saying, the App Store is such a shit show when it comes to games. It's just kind of free reign. It's like the Google Play Store for games on the iOS App Store. But this whole Arcade has the Apple App Store jurisdiction where it's very heavily moderated. There's no shit. There are these game developers that are building games specifically for the hardware that are in these iPhones and Apple TVs.
Which curated library.
Right, which makes them perform very, very well. I just had a weird thought how I haven't heard anything about Google Stadia. Is it because it isn't out yet, or it isn't anything we're talking about?
A new one. There's going to be a new one. It's a new Founders Edition or something like that.
Okay, so I haven't heard anybody talking about it at all for a reason.
I think I just saw that on IGN an hour ago, actually.
Okay.
I was going to bring it up. To further your point about mobile commuting, though, if I'm I hate touchscreen controls. I hate them. Elliot tried to set up WoW on my phone, World of Warcraft. It's the worst thing ever. I hate every second of it. I hate it. But if I'm gonna have time to get with Steam Link Shadow Play.
Okay.
If I'm gonna have time to play a game, it's when I'm commuting, right? If I'm on a train or something like that, I'm not gonna carry an Xbox or any kind of controller around with me to do that. So for me, it's I might as well just play on my little Switch.
Right, right. There was, and that's kind of my other thing. If I had train rides or bus rides or Ubers that I took often for work, I'd probably play some video games on the go. But that's not a part of my routine. I am not opposed to getting one of those 8-bit dough clips with an 8-bit dough controller and gaming. I'm much more inclined to get that on the iPad, right? Because I have playing on the Switch for me is kind of hard enough on that small of a screen, and I have the regular iPhone 10, and it's a small screen for gaming for me. So, and my iPad Pro is 13-inch, so I would be much more down for using the iPad Pro for gaming.
Well, and these 8-bit dough controllers are they're so comfortable, and they're pretty small, but not too small, and nice and light. These are some of the best controllers ever freaking made, in my opinion. They're really, really good.
That is really little.
Good. Yeah, and it's just it's awesome. It's got all the buttons you need, and fucking it's badass.
I don't know if that gives me enough. If it gives me enough of an experience, what I'm looking for when I'm playing a game and investing time into it. I don't know if that's enough for me.
It's definitely sufficient for old school games because there's just a D-pad and 2 buttons, right? I was fucking misled. This actually, like, it's not often that I get angry at minuscule things, right? I was in GameStop picking up Link's Awakening, and I looked at the wall, and I see a different color Pro controller, and then I see what looked to be a wireless GameCube controller. And I walk over to the wall, I look in the top right or the top left of the packaging, and it says Nintendo Switch. And then I look at the controller, and it says Nintendo Pro controller, $49.99 brand new. I'm like, holy fuck, a brand new Pro controller. Did they lower the price of the Pro controllers? This is amazing. Before I could finish that thought, I look to the right. I see a wireless Nintendo branded GameCube controller that just looks like a skinnier Wavebird. I immediately nut and go, what the fuck is happening? Why is there a wireless Nintendo branded GameCube controller on the wall? Had a little bit of an orgasm, went home, posted the pictures in Discord and go, why are these so cheap? Turns out it's a third-party company that is licensed to use the Nintendo Switch logo on the controllers. And they're like off-brand the GameCube controllers.
Well, and they were
Switch.
smart because the packaging looks like the first-party packaging.
The same fucking.
Yeah.
I was misled. Like, I stared at them. I looked at the tag. I looked at the logos, the shapes of the control. Because, you know, like, if you go in and you find like a Mad Catz controller, it's got these weird like tumors all over it. It doesn't look like a real controller. Exactly the same. And I was super fucking pumped because I'm in the market for buying 4 wireless controllers that I can travel with when I want to travel with my Switch. I'm like, dude, I'll just buy 4 of these Pro controllers if they're $50. But it turns out they weren't actual. They were pretty well rated on Amazon. They were getting like 4 stars out of 5. Not so much for the wireless GameCube controllers, but that made me mad.
What is it about third party that automatically necessarily means not good?
It's
Is
only
that kind of an interesting thought process.
I honestly only feel that way about Nintendo third party stuff because they have such a reputation for not being good. Yeah, I bought plenty of third party stuff. Like if I can save some money and get the same thing, like this mic arm, the Electro Voice version of just this bracket was $120 or something. Yeah, just for this bracket, not the arm, not the mic. This Aukey one, which is the same exact thing, $50.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that's more than my whole mic arm. I have the Rode one, which is just $99.
Right?
I can't imagine.
I have the same one. So it always just comes down to what the reviews look like. The brand name to me is just the brand name. There are certain things that I will stick to like I will never buy a third party product to charge my Apple devices. There is a reason why Apple doesn't let other people build their charging, and it could be for money, but it also could be because other things blow shit up, which we've seen in the past, right? Like charging.
Can I tell you, as a former technician at Apple, we thank you. We thank you.
Yeah. No, when it comes to cable, like I do not fuck around with third-party lightning cables or charging bricks. I don't charge my iPad Pro with anything other than the charger that it came with. The only time I've ever used the non-packaged one was I would use the old iPad 2 amp charger to charge my iPhone. I did see a decrease in battery life after like the second year, but I'll take it over the fast charging for those 2 years that I had it.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you the number of people that would come in that had blackened connectors, and I was there at the very beginning of Lightning for maybe the first year, but it was mostly 30-pin connectors. And let me tell you, those things got ripped off so often.
Oh my God.
People would, because Apple stopped making 30-pin connectors that had locks on the side, but third parties still made them. And so people would rip them out and rip the whole 30-pin connector out. Or they would rip them out and it would damage internally, but they couldn't see it. So they plugged it in again and their phone went.
Oh my God.
They would come in with these blackened connectors and you would say, would you mind if I took a look at your charger? Because we have, a multimeter and everything to test everything. And they would, have this electric blue charger that was blackened all over. And you go, are you serious?
Yeah.
Did you honestly think like
either that or one of those old school FM transmitters for your car?
the little coil, coil cable ones?
Yep.
Oh,
Made by
yeah.
Monster.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Or Mophie. Even Mophie was
Mophie,
bad.
too.
Until Apple started working with them to make the actual juice packs.
Yep.
Up until that point, it was just a nightmare of off-brand garbage.
Yep.
Just a parade of it coming through the door all the time. And people just didn't understand.
Now there there are a couple companies, and I believe that Aki is one of them and Anchor is another. If you're looking for a replacement charging cable for Apple products, if it's MFI certified, it means that it has passed Apple certifications for being a charging cable. Now that is just cables. I cannot speak for the actual power brick. I would still recommend people go with the power brick. But there are MFI cables that you can get for Apple products that will be okay. But yeah, for the most part, when it comes to charging things, I don't go third party. And that's just a personal preference.
Even wireless charging, Qi chargers, sometimes they're not the right. They don't have enough of a charge, or they don't let the battery cycle, so it damages the lithium-ion batteries.
Yep.
Or it's just like constant. I don't know. I used to be an expert at detecting third-party displays on iPhones and third-party chargers.
Really? Oh, people that got them
constant.
replaced with not actual displays? No shit.
Most people don't know, if you take it to a third-party repair place that doesn't say Apple authorized, you will never receive service for that device from Apple again.
Yep.
And it's fair. It's totally fair, because third parties just don't make the same quality as Apple. And so a lot of the time somebody would say, well, it's basically the same thing, right? And I would say, well, if it were the same thing, why can I tell the difference?
Right.
So,
yeah, it ain't.
Third party, it was incredibly infuriating. People would order the $15 kits on Amazon, and it's like, how much this display actually costs, right? It probably costs $15 at least. I mean, and Apple upcharges for it, but you figure there's labor for the technician to replace it and everything like that. But it was constant. It was all the time. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, to make a long story longer, and to sum this up, because I know we got a lot of other stuff to talk about, I am planning on purchasing Apple Arcade. I'm going to wait until the new iOS update drops for iPad, because when it comes out for that, to test it out, because I see myself trying it more on that, because that'd be cool. And then I want to see what it's like. I may cancel after 30 days. I'm gonna give it that. But if my son ends up using it a lot, I might keep it around for a little bit longer. But I will let you guys know what I think.
Did you mention the price?
$4.99 a month.
$4.99. That's it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On top of their $4.99 for Apple TV Plus, like $10 a month with an Apple TV gets you a lot of, and that's something kind of unheard of in the Apple ecosystem. Getting a lot for your money.
It really is. It really is. I mean, and Apple is kind of like a sommelier for software. So it's kind of like, it's curated. It's really, they're not going to let something, like you were saying, they're not going to let something in that's going to destroy the brand until they've got enough people hooked on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like the App Store.
Like the App Store. I would much rather prefer it that way. I know that trying to develop an app and put it on the App Store is really difficult, and they take abysmal cuts, but the end all be all quality of the App Store is light years ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons I got an Apple TV is because when I travel, I want to be able to just throw the Apple TV in my bag and then hook it up to whatever TV that I'm going to. This adds a little bit more value to that, because if I can bring an Apple TV and then I'm going to have my Xbox controller already, and Weenie can bring her Xbox controller, we have a mobile gaming system, aside from our Switch if we want to play something. And I just it seems like this is something like the Apple TV to me 2 or 3 years ago wasn't the greatest device. It was cool. It was cool to have, especially if you were already baked into the Apple ecosystem. But what I feel that Apple is doing lately is just adding immeasurable amounts of value to the hardware that they have already been producing for years and years and years and years. I was talking about this on one of my streams recently about how I have had 4 iPads in the past, 2 regulars and 2 pros. And it was not until iOS 13 with iPad OS that I felt like this was a true contender in the mobile computing market. Like, it wasn't until this year where I had an iPad and thought, yes, I love this thing. It does everything I need to do. It's powerful. It's portable. It's gorgeous. It's everything. And that's probably kind of hard for a lot of people to admit, that a product that they've been buying for years and years and years and years hasn't fulfilled them. But that's kind of like, that's kind of how that's how I feel about Apple lately, is that they're spending time adding value on the back end instead of just putting all this fluff into beautiful hardware at the front and be like, look how shiny our shit is. You know, they're actually working now. And that's coming from an Apple sheep as well.
An Apple sheep.
I don't deny it, man. I don't deny it, but their shit makes my shit, like, you know, it makes my world go round. So I don't complain about the hardware that I have because it makes me happy. Yeah,
I mean, I had an iPhone for what? I handed it down to my mom. We had it for 8 years between us.
Oh my God.
So it's like if you take care of your shit, just take care of your shit, man.
Yeah.
It'll last you forever. I had G4 towers coming in when I worked that were 10 years old. Still RPM drives that were just fine, no problem.
My dad has a 12-year-old Mac Pro, the G5s, or there might even been Power Macs, but Mac G5.
How many years?
I think he's going on 12. It's either let's see here. Yeah, because it came out in 2003, and I don't think he got them right away. I think he bought his used. But yeah, so that the G5 was discontinued in 2006, and I think he bought it after that. But he just kind of uses it for archiving right now. But that's probably where I get my Apple sheepness from too.
I mean, those are maybe the most repairable products Apple has ever created. Mm-hmm. G5 towers. Yep. Like, incredible. So I get it.
Well, Ruby, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting that you said you were in a GameStop, because I wanted to talk about GameStop, because my dad and I, whenever I go to LA, we go to Barnes & Noble and we walk around and we buy puzzle books and stuff like that. And just, I love the experience of that. But I feel like, just like Blockbuster, the death of retail brick and mortar stores is kind of progressing, I suppose. And so I was reading that GameStop is doing a redesign of their branding and everything in their stores. And they're doing esports stores and they're doing retro gaming stores. And I was I don't know. I was wondering if anybody still really goes into GameStop anymore, or if this is like the cloying aunt that just got a facelift, you know?
Right.
So I wanted to know what you guys thought about that.
I wasn't trying to laugh while you were talking, but you were talking
okay.
about the death knell of GameStop as you hear the ambulance siren in the back.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Couldn't help it. I think it could be the death knell. I've noticed that at least at my local GameStop, half the store now is all the like little kitschy type items, game items that you buy now that they're trying to sell, because the used game market is not near what it used to be because of how much people are buying digitally. And that's only going to keep continuing in the future. I read an article recently too that GameStop it was an article of someone who had worked for GameStop, that they were one of their kind of upper level employees, not like but they were an upper level, and they had cut the jobs of all of these. They're cutting jobs right and left for upper level to try to make it work. I think GameStop is the next Blockbuster, personally. I do believe that they made a shit ton of money back when you could, but you don't get shit for used games there. And it's a joke. The only thing I've bought at GameStop recently is video game related stuff, but the same stuff you can really find on like Amazon. So
is Amazon killing everything? Yeah,
I think that the model they have it's not sustainable, and that it's only a matter of time where they're gone, in my opinion. And it kind of sucks too, because it is nice to be able to go to a brick and mortar place sometimes because there's the games that you really look forward to getting. You want to have actual physical copy of. I know me personally, I don't buy many physical games. Usually just Nintendo games I will buy. But even my Switch, I bought a lot digitally, just because of the convenience of it. And I don't know. I like to go. I have an 8-year-old, so he likes to go to GameStop. That's really the only time we go. But even he knows now, like, you can get stuff digitally, and he would rather just me order it so he can have it on his device, like, right then. Like, he knows that I don't even have to go to the store, because he's living in the age where everything is instant content. It's provided thanks to streaming and everything else. So
it is kind of sad that there might be a day where you can't take your kid to a video game store because they just won't exist. That does make me sad a little bit. Yeah. But if somebody were to say, hey, you can have your game stores, but Amazon Prime's gone, I'd say, fucking, what do you mean a game store?
Yeah.
Forget it.
Fuck a game store. Right. I feel like there's a certain amount of nostalgia involved. And
there is.
I think they're trying to play on that with the retro GameStop outlet stuff, because they're doing a whole retro installation in some GameStops and then a whole esports installation in some GameStops. And I feel like they're kind of trying to play on the heartstrings, pull on the heartstrings of people who used to do that. And I just don't know if it is going to work, other than for people who want instant gratification with certain things. Because things like, a perfect example is last year when Elliot got an Xbox. He talked the entire day about, I think I might get an Xbox. Maybe I'll get an Xbox. And then it was 8:45 p.m. and he said, I really want an Xbox. And so we drove to GameStop and bought it on the spot 15 minutes before closing.
Good God.
There's kind of nothing really, Amazon can't provide that to you, because there's Prime Now, but that's, 2-hour delivery and stuff like that. But
right.
there's certain things that can't be instant gratification digitally. And so I'm kind of wondering how it's going to feel once that kind of thing is gone.
I will say there are days where I think of something that I want, and then I find it in a store that's in stock, and then you go and you buy it right then.
Yep.
It's impulsive. It's irresponsible, but it feels great. It's like busting a nut without a condom. It's a bad idea, but sometimes you just got a nut. Right, Jimmy?
You gotta get that.
Gotta get that hot non-rubber nut.
Yes.
True. True. One of the main reasons that I don't go to GameStop is because of how many offers and things they're going to try and pitch me while I'm checking out. Well, would you like the warranty on this game? Would you like to be a member of this club? Would you like to pre-order this upcoming game? Would you like to get this certain credit? It's like, oh my God, dude, just give me the fucking game. I don't want your card. I don't want your club.
I used to get annoyed with that a lot more than I do now, because I know that that's just the upper management that pushes them to do that.
And they have to.
Yeah. And the people that ask, they're trying to frame it, I feel like, in a way where they're like not going to get yelled at, but also because it's part of their job to do it. And so I usually will just come like, no, I'm not interested, but thank you though. And then they just move on. So but I get what you're saying, but that's the shitty business practices of GameStop. Though.
Yeah.
They try and nickel and dime you in so many different ways. It's stupid,
I mean, as a girl who probably seems out of place at a video game store, just like when I go to get an oil change, they think I know nothing about anything and try to sell me everything.
Yep.
Even Elliot was there when we were getting the Xbox, and he was looking at me and going, are you sure you don't want PS4? I was like, no, we want an Xbox. It's going to be an X. And he's like, are you sure? Don't you know what? And it's like, dude, I'm not even buying this thing.
Right.
Why are you selling to me?
He wasn't feeling so confident.
The guys, when I get an oil change, they're like, oh, well, this thing in your car, you probably don't know about this, but it's broken and it's going to cost you $700.
Well, the other reason
it's just like that at GameStop.
I don't like to buy new games at GameStop is because I don't consider them new, because they open them up and they give them to you already open, and because they have that policy where the employees can take the games home, and they'll still sell them as new. And I'm like, motherfucker, this ain't new. The shrink ramp ain't on it.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Yes.
What?
They will now, unless now in some cases know when if it's brand new and you get it the day it comes in, but they will sell titles as new titles that have already been opened up.
That can't be legal. How is that legal?
I'm telling you, I'm not making this shit up. And that is a practice that GameStop has been doing for a very long
They better
time.
GameStop
Holy
that.
shit.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
That is so not new.
I got Link's Awakening, and it was shrink wrapped. Yeah, because he like opened a drawer, pulled it out, and
It just came out. But I'm saying the stuff that they have on their shelf that's been there, they will have it says new, and then they hand it to you. I'm like, motherfucker, this ain't new. I'm like, no, we didn't. This isn't a used kind. I'm like, well, it doesn't have the shit. Trust me, I'm not. I'm telling you.
And have you gotten like a shrink wrapped version instead by bringing that up?
No, I just refused to buy the game. I was like, I'm not buying this shit. I'm just gonna go across the street and go to Best Buy. Fuck
Wait, really? You've done that?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I would too. I would absolutely. I'm not paying full price for an open game. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Give me a damn discount.
Mm-hmm. But even still, like the difference between new and used discounts like only $5 fucking. You know, if it's a newer title, it's so stupid. Yeah.
Don't tell me something. Don't tell me this apple is new if you sliced it in half and duct taped it back together.
So you know how when they used to sell CDs, they would open it and look at it to make sure that it was in good condition. I wonder if with Nintendo Switch now they like have to open it up and taste the cartridge to make sure that it's like it's fresh.
Give it a little lick.
God, yeah, it's good. It's good. Remember that whole phenomenon of people just like eating fucking Nintendo Switch? Oh my god!
What?
Yeah,
they were licking the chips and like talking about how bad it tasted.
Yeah,
like that Switch came out. I'm like, no fucking shit, it tastes bad.
Yeah,
it's a chip,
why are you
man.
eating electronics?
Well,
Why?
yeah, the I think the whole thing was that manufacturers purposefully make it taste like dick, which just doesn't taste bad half the time. Depends on showering methods, but so that kids don't swallow it, so that if they were put it into their mouth, they would go and spit it out. I don't know if that was the actual reason. Yeah, but as soon as people found out, they're like, yeah, we got to taste these games, and then they put it in their mouth and suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
Oh my Jesus Christ! I did not know about that.
Dick batteries. Do you guys have a Switch in the house?
I have a Switch Lite I got for my birthday.
Awesome.
It's actually super duper neat.
Do you have a cartridge that you could taste right now?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have any cartridges.
God damn it!
An on podcast cartridge tasting. That's what we're
Content
doing.
missed opportunity, but okay. I forgive you.
Oh God. I suppose GameStop is a good segue though for another thing I was interested in talking to you about was the whole resale of digital games and how Valve lost the lawsuit saying they wouldn't allow game resale, and now they either have to allow it or pay a fine every single day. Apparently.
How do you resell a digital game though?
Right, that's the whole thing, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Like you transfer your license to someone else?
Yep.
Is that basically what you do?
So they relicense it essentially. Right. And so I didn't know that was even something that people were fighting over, but apparently there's companies that are trying to do it with apps too, recycling iPhone apps so you can sell your iPhone apps. But I guess the fine itself is only €3, which probably doesn't even come close to what
3 or 3,000
3,000, sorry, 3K euros. Yeah.
But that's still a very small amount a day. I mean,
per day.
That's nothing. That's a
They're probably laughing all the way to the
for-
bank.
yeah.
Yeah.
chump change for Valve.
I don't really know how I feel about this. I saw a compelling argument on Twitter regarding how if you resell a game to somebody else, the original creator isn't getting, isn't seeing the revenue from that sale. But how does that make it different from anything else in life? Like if you sell a piece of art, or if you sell a car, or if you sell a phone, yeah, the original person isn't getting they're not seeing the revenue from that. But I don't know. I have a hard time because retro. Everybody sells their old games. You know, there's like consoles and games and peripherals. They all get resold. I have a hard time trying to understand why it's different for digital media, right?
Well, there's no degradation of value. When you sell a used car, you're accounting for using it, but you're not going to see a degradation of software when you're using a game and just reselling it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only potential downside would be that the hardware that you have, like there's been certain games that aren't updated to play on the most recent operating systems. And so if, you know, you would eventually get forced out, maybe. But obviously there's people who build emulators to play newer games. I guess I see that. But like, for example, I purchased Mario Party for the Nintendo Switch 2 weeks ago, and I haven't played it since, and I will not play it because I think it fucking sucks. I bought a game for $60, played it for maybe an hour and a half, and now I'm stuck with it. Nintendo has no return policy, and I can't do anything with it because it's not a hard copy, which maybe was, wait, you can't return the cartridges, can you? Because it's technically used?
What? You can't?
I would assume after a certain amount of time,
maybe.
Because like with CDs, you can't buy and return CD games anymore, can you? I haven't bought a CD in so long.
I don't know. I haven't either.
Chat, what'd it do? I'm pretty sure that once you buy a game and open it and play it, it was no longer returnable, or you had like a 7-day return. Because as soon as they get it back, like Jimmy said, it's no longer new. It's used. It's open. It's been used.
I think it varies by store. I think there's different policies with different, like I think you can, like at like Walmart, for example.
Oh yeah, they don't give a shit. They'll take anything back.
I think they will, but they will only give you store credit for those items. Like you won't get like a cash or whatever return.
Which would prevent theft, I suppose.
Yes. That they're trying to prevent people from stealing and get cash returns, so the store credit they get. I think it just depends on the store policy. Honestly, I think it's everyone has their own different policies on returns when it comes to media. So, yeah.
I feel like I agree as far as the developer not getting, because if I buy a game and then resell it to one of you, it really on paper it counts as one concurrent player.
Right.
And so I feel like the developer loses because I don't know. It's like it devalues the work that goes. It makes games. It will make games more expensive because of the expectation of resale. And so I think that's not good. And I also think as far as any launcher that's going to have to allow reselling of games, Steam should not be one because they have a really lenient return policy. I mean, you have 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 hours, which should be enough time to decide whether or not you like a game. And if you get more than 2 hours of play, you probably got your value out of it anyway. So I don't know. I don't feel like that's very fair. I guess Valve is going to appeal it, but it seems interesting to me that they're forced to allow the resale. I think just take the fine, honestly.
I wish that, and I would have no problem. I mean, I don't know how if the whole transfer of license becomes a thing. I think the biggest issue is the fact that digital games, for the most part, they cost the same as physical copies of games, and I mean, you're really
no manufacturing costs.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge part of the cost that's taken out, and I think your argument for digital, if they would cost a little less, you know, even if it was just 10 to 20% or 10 to 15% off, I think that would, one, it would encourage more people to buy digitally, and two, it would also solve the problem that some of these developers have with the reselling, you know, and that they're not getting a cut because of the resell process. And I know that hurts a lot of game developers, where you got fucking people like at GameStop that are making hand over fist reselling games for near the cost of them new, where they're taking like the entire cut of it, you know?
Right, right. I mean, there is something certainly nice about having a shelf with your game library on it.
Sure,
There's something
yeah.
really nostalgic and appealing about that. But I just think that the benefits of digital outweigh the benefits of, you don't want to call it analog necessarily, but traditional. I think that the benefits of digital outweigh it, just because it's like, if there's something corrupt or something bad, you just delete it and reinstall it. But if you've got a huge scratch on your disk, you know, you bust out the toothpaste and hope for the best.
Right.
So I don't know. It's hard to say what is most fair to the consumer and to the developer.
Right. I mean, I guess from my perspective, if Nintendo would have had a return policy, I wouldn't be so upset because I bought a product. I really didn't like it at all, and I would have returned it. And somebody else would have bought it and loved it. I have never felt that way about any games on Steam, because if I play it for longer than 2 weeks or 2 hours, that is mine. It is not fair. 2 hours is generous. 2 hours.
Really generous.
It's especially if it's like a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
If it's a campaign game, I can kind of understand. For certain campaigns. It's really hard for me to say, right? Because I have no insight from the side of the developer. I really only have the insight from the side of the consumer. I have never thought, man, I wish that I could sell my Steam games to somebody else, right? I've never really had that feeling. So it's hard for me to side with Parliament, rather than side with Valve. But I'm sure that most consumers, especially PC gamers, have a bone to pick with Valve. So they're kind of just like, yeah, let's get one more freebie out of Valve that we can, because we never got Half-Life 3. So I just don't hold that much resentment for them.
And there's also something to be said for being a collector and aficionado of games in general. You know, there's a pride thing in having a large Steam library, you know. But I think if any other launchers had any kind of return policy, it would be good. But a lot of them don't. I think Steam is the most generous, and then what was it? Origin was pretty good. I bought this really old game, Alice Madness Returns, and it just didn't work because it was too old. And they, no questions asked, refunded it for me. So I think maybe if return policies were better, but also Steam has a great return policy.
They do.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I don't sway one way or the other. I like you said, I think Steam's return policy is generous enough to where this really shouldn't be a discussion. But I don't know, maybe there's something happening on the other side of the pond that isn't happening here, where they kind of felt just for bringing this to court.
Right. I don't know if I should have made sure to say it's only France right now.
Right. Correct.
As of right this moment. So.
Okay.
There you go.
Alrighty. Well, your final point that you wanted to touch on?
By
the way, I love that you brought things to talk about.
I just, there's a lot of little things that I really am curious. I have a lot of respect for both of you, so I have a lot of interest in your opinions on things. And so it's...
My heart! Oh! Too many compliments in a small amount of time, Ruby, okay?
Fuck you guys. There
we go. That's what I'm used to.
Thank you.
That's what I'm used to.
I think that it is... This is going to sound really harsh, but I think that it boils down to crybaby consumers. And it's consumerism at its finest, crybaby consumerism, that's causing this. And I think it's really unfortunate. And that's the point.
I honestly, I don't think it's that harsh. It's definitely an our generation thing, right? Because it's probably not baby boomers going, digital video game!
Yeah.
So it's definitely us. So I probably have to agree with you there.
Entitlement. It's about entitlement.
Participation trophy era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, yeah.
Struck a nerve.
Hey, I've had many a participation trophy.
I have too. I you know what? Maybe I just didn't realize like the residual effect that they would have on my later life. But I also had a lot of first place trophies too, believe it or not. I
don't think I had very many of those.
I was what's the cartridges that go in it's like airsoft guns, the CO2 cartridges. Mm-hmm. In woodshop class, we had a CO2 car contest where whoever built the fastest car, and I fucking won that shit, and I still have the trophy somewhere. Best CO2 car in the grade. I was so proud of that, and I'll never forget that when I was like getting this is super ironic. When I was getting handed the award, there was some kid, fucking Kanye West, yelling and screaming about how he thought that I cheated and I didn't deserve the award. And my woodshop teacher, who had a lazy eye, was just like, "Shut the fuck up, Chris! I'm trying to give this award." Then I'll never remember, like, my prideful moment. Like, all I could hear with this kid, this disgruntled child, just yelling nonstop at how he thought I had cheated. Which, like, how the fuck do you cheat out of chiseling a car out of a piece of fucking balsa wood? I never understood that. Fuck you, Chris.
He used a Dremel.
It wasn't hand curved.
Oh, fuck you, buddy. What was the last part you wanted to touch on?
You know, it was just a curiosity thing what you guys thought about the new Disney streaming platform, because we're going to lose a lot of shit off of Hulu and Netflix, let me tell you. And I'm just wondering if Hulu and Netflix, in your opinion, have enough original content that's good enough to keep users happy, to keep them on their platforms, because Netflix is talking about raising their prices again.
Right.
And Hulu already is kind of a premium for me, which is, I think it's $12 for no ads. And it's definitely more than Netflix, but I'm just wondering if they can stand up to losing all of their Disney content, which I feel like, I think a lot of people just watch Hulu for The Handmaid's Tale at this point.
As someone who has had Netflix for the last almost decade, and I've had the streaming service the whole time, the price has pretty much doubled for me in the past. Because I get the 4K service because, for 4K content, which they actually have quite a bit of now. Oh, shut up, Naaackers. Anyway, yeah. Well, you gotta pay. It's stupid. You gotta pay extra for if you want anything in 4K. Like, it costs like $5 more a month, basically.
Is that in the house or the condo that you have those 4K TVs in, Jimbo?
In the house, sir. In the house.
Jimbo with his fancy 4K.
Like,
Too good for us 1080p.
There was a recent episode, I think it was me and Vance were talking about controllers, and you were making fun of us, so I had to reciprocate a little bit.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But
I love you.
So it costs, after tax, I think it costs about $17 a month now and that's not even the top tiered plan. That's the cheapest plan I can have with the 4K content, which is like 15 something, and then it costs, like, with tax, it's like $17. And then I also have Hulu with the ad free, like you, and after tax comes out to like 12. It's like 12.17 or some bullshit like that a month. So you put that together, that's $30. Netflix, I could possibly see getting rid of, because I find myself using it less and less and less. My wife is the one that uses Hulu. Most of the content I watch is lately it's been on fucking Amazon Prime Video. Man.
Prime Video has some great shit. They've got
amazing shows.
All kinds of great stuff.
And I find myself watching Netflix less and less these days. So I think you bring up a really good point. I know for sure I'm going to get the Disney Plus service because I'm a Star Wars whore.
I was going to say Star Wars.
Whore.
That's part of why I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah. And so I know already I'm going to have it day one because I'm going to watch the shit out of The Mandalorian and the other Star Wars shows they're producing. And also my son is a huge Marvel fan, and I know all the Disney stuff they're bringing over from Marvel he's going to want to watch. So, I think Netflix could be in trouble. I don't think Hulu is. Hulu, I think, is a little bit of a different market too, because there's a lot of classic TV shows on Hulu that a lot of people like to watch. Like, my wife loves watching a lot of old shit on Hulu, and they have a market for that's established in Hulu. Oh yeah, and they have all of that shit on there.
Now off of TBS, by the way.
Yeah, they got a ton of great stuff. A bunch of classics. Like, you can watch all of the Cheers episodes. You can watch pretty much just about any great syndicated TV show you can watch on Hulu. So I don't think Hulu's in trouble, but I definitely think Netflix is going to be in trouble after they lose all their...
Especially if they keep raising their prices. My God. Because at least Hulu has advertising revenue.
Yeah. So that's just my 2 cents.
I have two major points. The first major point that's sort of kind of related but unrelated. The way that you can search for anything through Amazon Video and then it's like, oh, this is a Starz or an HBO subscription, but you can just pay for it right through this Amazon app if you want to. That is too fucking easy.
The how do I watch this button?
Yeah.
How do I watch this? I must watch it.
Click.
How do I do it? Yeah.
Click to enter password. Yes, I'll play with Apple Pay. Yes, I'll sign up for the free trial. And then you're watching your content. That's fucking tricky. I am definitely down with Disney Plus. It is one of the main reasons why I just bought a new Apple TV in kind of preparation for that. I didn't even know that the Apple Arcade was coming out. But now that I have an Apple TV, I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of fucking cool. I'm down with this.
Sorry to interrupt. What is the Apple Plus, like their Apple TV?
That's their streaming service. So that is, I thought that was the everything, like the Disney, the Marvel, all that stuff. That was, I thought that was all of that.
That's a separate deal. That's like Hulu, the ad
Correct.
version of Hulu.
15,
Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus is like, you can get a package for like all three of those for like $15 a month.
Yes, and then
Really?
Apple TV Plus, which is all of their originals, is $5 a month for the family for more than one device. If you do have all the ones that are sharing an Apple ID, you can get that on.
Wow. That's pretty good.
That's a good deal, actually.
Not bad, right? Between having Arcade $5 for a family and then Apple TV Plus $5 for a family,
It's not bad.
I have been seeing a lot of people complain about the Disney Marvel kind of scuffle with separating of licensing and like certain titles being dropped and stuff like that. When I see people go, I don't need a Jimmy John's because their CEO is a big game hunter, I roll my eyes. And that's not to say that I roll my eyes at people like standing up for something or believing in something. It's that people pick and choose the things that they want to be outraged at when it fits their agenda instead of having like an across the board thing. Like
It's virtue signaling.
Yes. Like if you knew what every CEO of every company and their board did on a day-to-day basis, you would not go shopping anywhere. You would not buy anything. And so the way that I think about this is like the most recent, I was me and Weenie went to a Chick-fil-A and I had some people on Twitter go like, well, I don't eat a Chick-fil-A anymore ever since that gay bashing bullshit. I'm like, okay, but what about the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people in between me and the CEO that rely on that brand to provide for their families? That's how I see it. I see it as I'm just eating a food that I enjoy. And by me going somewhere, I am supporting somebody that works there. Am I directly supporting the CEO at the top? Probably a little bit. But what's to say that I don't go to fucking Jersey Mike's and their CEO is a serial rapist? Like, you don't fucking know. You only know what's shown to you. And what's shown to you is controlled by the lizard people and the Rothschilds and the Clintons. You have no control over any of that shit. You got to be careful. So when I see that kind of stuff, I'm just like, oh, if you like something, consume it. You're not benefiting anybody by like rioting against these multi-billion-dollar corporations. And again, it's a slippery slope because there's times where people band together who think they don't have a voice and their voice ends up paying off. But when I see people like, yeah, I don't eat there because their CEO's a douchebag. It's like, well, what about everybody else? What about everybody in between?
Right. And do people honestly think though that by boycotting a sandwich a month is going to make a difference just like that? It's like the CEO is looking at the revenue and going, "Oh my God, we're down one sandwich.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?"
Yeah.
It's just, it's virtue signaling because a lot of those people have these huge important and angry opinions, but they don't do anything about it except post on Twitter.
Right. Like if you posted a picture of yourself outside Chick-fil-A that says, "Fuck you, I love gay shit," I'm like, okay, this person is definitely like out there making a name. But yeah, people are just like, oh yeah, I don't eat there. I don't buy their products. I'm like, oh God. And it doesn't make me think any less of anybody, right? It's just when I see that, I just go, oh, Jesus Christ. Speaking of something that I've been meaning to talk about, and it's super, super quick. You guys all know the very famous Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson eye roll gif, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is the most perfect eye roll I have ever seen in a human being ever. You know how when you look at things, you kind of look how baby birds like twitch their head? You look in twitches, right? You don't look in a smooth looking motion. When you change things you're looking at, your eyes switch. If you look at that gif, his eyes perfectly cycle the entire circumference of his eyes. It is fucking insane. It's something I noticed within the past year. It's perfect. And all of you are going to be Googling.
It's like those creepy dolls that have the following eyes that are perfectly, that just sort of,
Smooth.
or the eyelids that perfectly close. Because you can't close your eyelids perfectly smooth, or you can't look left to right perfectly smooth.
Right.
It's just like that. Those creepy dolls. And it kind of makes you, it's a little unsettling.
I'm going to Google that. I'm going to post this link in chat, by the way, because I'm this focused on everybody seeing it.
That eye roll. It's the perfect eye roll. It is the
Well,
perfect
there's
eye
a
roll.
reason why he was so successful in wrestling, because all the best wrestlers have the most expressive, emotive faces. You know?
That's so true. That is so
You know?
true. And it's like you think he's gonna bust a capillary every time.
He's got great eye. He has great eyebrow control too. Like, you know, he has like where you can do the
Yes.
single eyebrow raise
Can
and
you
just
guys
like
raise your eyebrows
perfect.
individually? Can you raise each of them individually?
Not unless they.
I think I can, right?
really.
It looks like I
have
don't have
excellent
eyebrows with this camera.
Listen, I thought that you wanted me as a guest because I have excellent eyebrow control, so I think this is a good opportunity just to let you know.
Holy
you can do it.
smokes,
Okay.
that is very impressive.
That's pretty
Did you just have to practice that a lot till you got that? Or were you born with that
I don't know.
ability?
I think I just discovered that I had the ability. You know, it's a blessing and a curse.
It is, yeah.
By the way, other super side note, when Bishop was on the podcast talking about his super fancy Starbucks cup, the next week, Weenie and I went to Starbucks and we bought the same cup.
Did you?
We were
Let me
so
tell you.
jealous.
He stole that from me, okay? That is stolen goods, and now I have another one.
It's a great
Look.
fucking cup, I will say.
You got a Starbucks cup,
Right.
you got a mixer. That's all I gotta say. I mean, I think that ultimately you ended
I'm
up
gonna
on the
keep
better
this.
end of the
I'm
deal.
keeping
You should.
this mixer.
You should
He's
tell him
not gonna
I
get
gave you
back.
permission to keep it. Okay,
Well, I mean, Jimbo's word is law.
it is law.
Goddamn.
Done.
Goddamn law dog. All right. The only thing I want to say real quick, it's super quick point before we get on to the question and answer. Random fact, Epic paid the developers of the recent hit game Control $10.5 million to have the game exclusively on the Epic Store.
I feel like they're just mooning everybody. They're just saying "fuck you," everybody.
now
That's fuck you money. Is what that is.
It's such fuck you money. Oh my God. The caveat to this is that the developers do not make so the first $10 million in sales go to Epic, and then all the sales after that go to the developers company. So it's a $10 million guarantee of your game, which I think comes out to 200,000 copies sold from the article that I looked at, which for a successful game isn't, I feel like that's not too much, right? When you think of how many copies Grand Theft
Control
Auto
isn't
sold.
like a AAA game, though.
Right. It's kind of like it's an indie title. It's considered to be an indie title. So when I see that, put it that way, I'm like, I can totally see why these companies are going over to Epic and say, yeah, you're going to guarantee us $10 million before the game even comes out. Yeah, we'll take that hit.
Yeah.
You know, a little bad press from the gaming community, but oof, I just thought that was a very interesting statistic. I can't remember how that came out. And then the person who wrote the article reached out to Epic and they're like, yeah, we don't discuss terms of our contracts, but go play Contract. It's a great game.
I think it's going to continue until the market share increases. I have no idea what it is because I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sure maybe you could find it, but I'd be willing to bet that Steam has for like online game launchers, probably 90% of the games that are launched on computers or more are coming from the Steam launcher. I would bet.
Yeah, we're only hearing of the big titles that are being
Right.
siphoned over there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like
I mean,
Borderlands and all that shit.
It just seems like it doesn't seem necessarily. It seems like an investment for Epic. It doesn't seem like, hey, we're gonna make money if we have exclusivity here. It seems like they are trying to shift the market, but also just trying to maybe, I think people have a bad taste in their mouth with Epic in general. I mean, obviously they do, but it's like they're trying to shift the narrative for themselves and make them about they're this generous platform that's supporting indie developers and giving users free games and all of this. And it's like they're just trying to shift the public perception of themselves. And then in the meantime, scoop up exclusivity just to say, screw you to everybody else. A game that I've been waiting for I don't know how long, over a year, Untitled Goose Game came out on Friday. And I've been so excited. I didn't know until Thursday that it was an Epic Games exclusive.
And did that bum you out?
On the Switch also?
Cleanliness of libraries also, which is ridiculous. I just like having all my games on Steam.
Oh, so that's why you didn't want to get it on the Switch?
No, so I didn't. I wanted to get it on the PC so that I could stream it because it's such a cute little game.
And you can't stream from the light.
Yeah,
there's the one downside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I almost decided not to purchase that game because it was Epic exclusive. I was gonna wait, but I've been waiting for so long and I've been so excited. I even had it in my phone calendar that it was like, I have to get it. And so a close friend purchased it for me and said, listen, but it's also having to do with Epic not being a very secure platform, because I know so many people that have had their information compromised. And it's like, do I really want to spend $15 and then have my password stolen and have somebody use my PayPal account or use my credit card or something like that to buy a bunch of stuff? And so my, like I said, a close friend generously purchased it for me. So he said I would not be out any money if my password got stolen. But it's still kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer, I think, that Epic is scooping up everything, because I didn't buy Borderlands and I don't intend to buy Borderlands until it's on Steam. But I also, there's other reasons I don't intend to buy it now. But Epic it's a very polarizing subject, I think, for a lot of people, because so many people are gung-ho, no problem, Epic is great, and so many people are like just vilifying Epic. And there's got to be, I think Epic is trying to scoop up all of these titles to find the happy medium between those two things.
Well, and at the end of the day, they're a big fucking business, and they're trying to find ways to long-term make money and use the success that they've had from Fortnite and other things to gather some steam. And I mean, literally and figuratively, so that they can take a chunk out of the market, which has been dominated by them for a decade plus. So it's a smart move. It's a shrewd business move.
It is.
But when we're talking about billions of dollars of game sales annually, I mean, shit. You got to make big moves if you're trying to take a cut of Steam. I respect them for doing it. I do think it sucks though, because I know that people, the ease of use of having one platform is we've talked about that on the show before too. The fact that one of the biggest problems people have is the fact that they don't want to have several launchers. I think Naaackers mentioned too, like at one point he had 5 or 6 separate launchers on his PC for different games on different ones.
It doesn't bother me though.
No, I'm just a point. Just that's the point though. Is that even though it doesn't bother you, there's a ton of people that just refuse to do it because you like having ease of use. Ruby just mentioned it. It's clean. It's nice. It's simple. I go here when I want to play my games. You know what I mean? And so, I can see that's a valid point that people have. They want that, but the world that we're living in now is definitely going toward a more service by service bit where you're gonna subscription based services and all that. I don't think that's gonna change. I think it's only gonna be more so.
Looking at my game vault, I have an SSD that's just games. Bethesda, Blizzard, Epic, Minecraft, Mods, Origin, Steam, Twitch, Uplay, and Windows are all the folders that I have for different.
That's a lot.
You know what? If somebody comes up with a decent launcher that brings everything, I know there's been some in the past, and there's always been some weird shortcoming of each one. If there's a way to unify the launchers in the friends list, but I'm sure that none of those companies actually want that to be made.
Steam does a pretty good job. I got to be honest. Playing WoW on Shadowplay, easy, really easy. And you just launch it straight from your Steam library. You can add basically any game. But it's not perfect. There's nothing that's perfect. And of course, crossplay is also an issue. It's like I have to worry about having all of my friends on PC. Now, if I get Borderlands off of Steam, am I going to be able to play with my friends that were early adopters on Epic?
I forgot about that.
That's what also kind of annoys me. I don't want all of these separate. I have to coordinate with my friends. It's like WoW Classic. I have to coordinate with my friends to make sure we're playing on the same Classic server, or else I'm going to level this character and then we're not going to be able to play.
Right.
So.
And Gamers just brought up a great point. Rockstar just released that they have their own separate launcher now.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave out a free copy. They might still be doing it. A free copy of GTA 5 with the launcher.
Rockstar's already terrible. I'm sorry.
Right,
GTA Online takes, 10 years to launch. It's ridiculous.
You fucked up a social club. There's no coming back from it. All right, so I will move us on to the question and answer. So all of these questions were taken from chat earlier. If you haven't gotten your question in yet, fuck you. It's too late, you lazy son of a bitch. But we appreciate your effort anyways. So thank you very much. So our first question comes from Made by Bowie. Asks, who do you consider to be your biggest inspiration?
Are we talking about what specific realm of our lives? Are we talking about streaming? Are we talking about career, personal life?
I think we can go grand scheme of things.
That's why, because it would depend on what realm we're talking about here.
Now, if it's ass sucking, there's only one answer.
I mean, it's obviously Naaackers.
Okay, so you said for your passions. Who inspired your passions?
Gosh. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of really good friends and some good mentors over the years. So, passions, getting, I guess, streaming obviously is something I'm passionate about. One of the, obviously, my good friend Naaackers, but also, his brother, Bad Robot, really also kind of helped me realize what I could do with streaming. Because I actually I met Naaackers through his brother. So he was definitely an inspiration for me when it came to streaming and realizing how much you could do as a streamer and watching, how he would do his streams. So I'll go there on that side of things. So that's my answer.
Ruby? Yeah, go ahead.
Passions. So I have a couple of different avenues here. Passions as far as art and creativity go. It's such a cheeseball thing to say, but it's easily my mom, because she's always been this incredibly creative, passionate person, and she kind of encouraged me from a really young age to start doing stuff, photography. She gave me a camera when I was like 12 years old, and I got to travel with her, and she encouraged me to do art and all of that, and photography and everything. And she's just she's been doing encaustic for like 6 years, and it's, a lot of people probably wouldn't be picking up passions at that time in their life, but she's sort of picking up new ones. And so that's really inspiring to me. And yeah, she's like my best friend. She's super inspiring. And I would say as far as culinary goes, I think it's silly, but Alton Brown is like one of my favorite favorite chefs in the world, and there's a clip of him that's my favorite clip, and he's like growling at a bowl of quinoa because he hates quinoa so much.
I know what you're talking about.
And he has these impassioned defenses of grilled cheese as grilling a sandwich on the grill and grilling the cheese. You know, he's got these sort of manifestos of different avenues of cooking and stuff. And so I love him. And then Kenji Lopez Alt also has an article, a column called The Food Lab.
Yes.
And he is maybe the most, he takes, just like Alton Brown, he takes culinary and food from a science perspective. And so he says, how can I make the best crispy roast potatoes? And he breaks it down to the science. Well, maybe if I make the water more alkaline, I'll be able to create a crispier edge if I bruise the, you know, it's like a whole process. And that kind of passion for something, just to break it down to every individual step, is super inspiring to me. Yeah, I think those are my two main passions, is art and creativity and cooking, both of those things. But there's actually a really good, if everyone hasn't seen it, a YouTube video from when Good Eats was still kind of at its birthplace. And he literally grills a cheese, and he goes on this whole long rant about how grilled cheese for most people is just griddled cheese. And then he takes it to the backyard, wraps bread in tin foil, you know, uses a raclette iron to melt the cheese on the grill and everything. And I feel like that kind of passion is inspiring to me.
I definitely ditto a lot of the things that you said. Alton Brown, Kenji, is it Kenji Lopez Alt, right? Mm-hmm. And then I can't remember his real name right now, but the YouTube channel Binging with Babish.
Mm-hmm.
When I learned that he was not a master chef, and that he was like, his YouTube channel is him learning how to cook and like of trying to adopt best practices. And as soon as I learned that, it felt way easier to kind of relate to him. And just like Mr. Lopez Alt and Alton Brown, they break things down to where they take these immense and detailed, strategies of cooking, and they break them down to things that we can understand. And simple things like, instead of using a double broiler for making hollandaise, you can use a hand blender and melted butter, like things like that. So on the cooking side, definitely there. I have sort of been looking for inspiration in the streaming world as of late. I got into a conversation with somebody at work about mentors, and I have a lot of really, really good friends that I have really, really good conversations with, but I don't know if I have any mentors currently. And it's something that I'm kind of interested in. Like, I would like to have somebody who tells me, like, has no problem telling me no, or, telling me that I'm doing something wrong, where, as friends, it's a little bit harder for somebody to be like, dude, you're dumb and you fucked up and you did that wrong. Like, it's a little bit harder for people to do that. So right now, I'm kind of trying to find inspiration. I would say, if it's not already obvious, that the Sushi Dragon is one of my biggest inspirations. One of my longest running inspirations as far as content creators is Futureman Gaming. He's one of the biggest content creators that I got into early on. And if it's not already, visible, I get a lot of inspiration from him. So I would say, cooking side, I mirror what RebelRuby said. As far as streaming side, my biggest three are probably Sushi Dragon and Futureman Gaming, still to this day. And then both Gary Vaynerchuk and Joe Rogan for everything that's every day. Because Gary V obviously doesn't speak directly to streamers, but so much of what he talks about resonates with streamers, and so much of it applies to the streaming career. And then with Joe Rogan, Crocs and Hot Pockets is basically a Joe Rogan copycat, right? I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast and I go, I want to do exactly what Joe Rogan does, and I just want to have an excuse to sit down and talk to people and learn and get other perspectives. So if that wasn't already obvious, there it is.
Joe Rogan's podcast is awesome.
It's
really, really, really good.
And it drives me insane, all the people that get on his ass about having like the wrong people on and giving people a platform. The dude just wants to talk to people. Shut the fuck up. Like, you talk to your racist left-handed grandmother every goddamn weekend and nobody gives you shit. Shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. It's amazing that somebody who is so that degree of stoned all the time can be such a good interviewer.
I know. And you know he's stoned when you see him staring into the distance going,
He has like he has a fish mouth. He just kind of.
He does. Yeah.
And you know, the Joe Rogan wide eyes, it's like his signature stoned look is like the wide eyes. He's melting into your face. Yeah.
Next question comes from Vaughn. I always fuck up saying it.
Gerstenberg.
Von Gerstenberg. And also this text is very tiny. It would be really great if you could each go into detail about which colorway is your favorite of all the colorways. Okay, so this is an inside joke because somebody used the word colorway in the keyboards channel in Discord. And I'm like, what the fuck is a colorway? And so they described what a colorway was. And I proceeded to say, nobody fucking says that word. Stop using it. There's other words that we have been using for decades instead of colorway. And of course,
what is a colorway?
It's the colors that are chosen in regards to the way something is designed, I think is the actual definition of it.
Like a swatch of colors?
So the interior design version of that, because that is it's like synergy for, big business people. Colorways is like, it's fodder for the interior design world. Colorway is a palette of colors. So colors that are curated to go together. So you have, think of weddings. So you have navy blue and yellow with jade green. That's a colorway.
It's like when those corporate trainers say shit like synergy and together, like that sort of shit. Yeah. Like one of those makeup
exactly
words,
like that.
Sort of
synergy.
Okay.
Color scheme is what normal people say.
Got it.
Colorway it's big in retail and interior design, big time.
Okay,
well, that makes sense.
So it
I
kind
know
of
Von G's
reaches
a
over
retail
into
guy,
other
so.
realms.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah, I got a little triggered when somebody tried using the word, because it's like nobody uses that word. And the way I described it in Discord was one of your friends started using that word, and then he started making fun of everybody else for not knowing what colorway was. So then everybody else felt inferior. So then they started using colorway, and then it just spread into the keyboard enthusiast community. And now people are saying it. I refuse to use it. I refuse.
Like a plague. So interior design has a lot of that kind of words, that sort of subsection of words that are really not very commonly used outside of there. The one that bothered me the most, I guess it's not the word, it's the syntax. So we had a buyer who would come and, give us the trends that she was interested in, and we would kind of curate the line for her. And then she would, and for the first 6 meetings, I had no idea what the fuck she was talking about. She would say, well, she doesn't like this. She's not interested in this kind of tropical. She doesn't like a beige couch. And I was like, who the fuck is she? Is it some, goddess up in the sky? Does she have like a parrot up her ass? Like, what is she talking about? And she referred to the customer base as a whole as she. And it was the most infuriating thing I have ever had to deal with. And I had no idea, like I said, no idea what the fuck she was talking about for 6 meetings. And then I finally got it. And it was like, this is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard.
This is what feminism is taking over. Look, this is fucking proof.
She likes this colorway. She likes,
that is interesting.
She's feeling this way for winter. And that was another thing that bothered me about interior design, by the way, is the buyers of these companies are just any fucking people deciding what you want.
Right.
She feels like she's got a stub toe. It's fucking insane. It's absolutely mental. She feels like she's on her period right now. What? It's crazy. So words like that exist a lot.
Okay.
In again, interior design. It's God, it's the worst.
I was walking by a booth at this art festival that I was at last night, and there's this T-shirt that says "Feminism has ruined the world," and I'm like, I saw it, and then kept walking, and thought, "There's no way that's what that shirt said." And then I look back, and it's a female booth owner, and just like a bunch of shirts that was knocking feminism, and I'm like, huh. I didn't think that I would see that. It was just it caught me so off guard. It was funny.
Timed release reaction. It takes you like 10 steps to really feel the full effect of it.
I did like a Professor Xavier real quick. Like, what the? Wait a minute.
What is this?
All colorways suck. Anywho, next question from Made by Bowie. How do you feel when watching streams that cannot seem to keep their temper when playing games? Some people find it comedic, others find it annoying. Opinions.
I kind of feel attacked a little bit because I finished the stream last night playing retro games, and I might have been getting a little salty because I was a few glasses of whiskey deep. I personally don't really give a shit if it's done in good humor. I mean, if someone, you know, the difference between someone who's going overboard or someone that's just, it's just kind of funny. I'll give you a great example. So one of my favorite streamers, I know you like him too, Naaackers. I don't know if you've watched him or not, Ruby. Late Night Retro. Late Night Retro, he plays 95% of the time is NES, Super Nintendo, or Genesis, Game Boy. He plays a lot of retro titles. And there are some shitty ass old retro titles.
Yeah.
And sometimes he gets fucking pissed off at some of the game design choices and some of the other things and how cheap some of those games are. But I don't think it ever crosses into the realm of like just where it's rage, like want to snap your controller, break shits type of stuff. I think some people enjoy that type of content and are drawn to people who are just going to rage playing games. I personally am not drawn to that type of content. But if it's somebody that I enjoy in their personality, if they get mad playing games, I usually just think it's funny because it's just, I've been there. I know the frustration, and especially playing retro titles. So to a degree, I think it's fine. I think if you go overboard and you start breaking shit, I think that's where it might need to take a step back a little bit. So
I feel like it depends on the context. So if the person themselves, you can feel them being angry and uncomfortable and not enjoying themselves, then it's awkward. But if there's a streamer that I think Elliot watches him a lot more than I do, but his name is Munchie Mane, and he just fucking yells at the computer, but it's hysterical.
Yeah.
And he's like just raging, but you know he's having a good time and he's hamming it up, you know?
Yes.
But if somebody is there, I know a couple of streamers that get so salty that it's awkward to watch. And at that point I just turn it off and I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, I want to support, but I can't do it. It's super awkward. And I feel like there's a fine line, and it's if you're having a good time and enjoying yourself, that's great. And you know, internally, it's like Joe Rogan comedy, I guess. So like he's yelling the entire time, but it's funny and he's having a good time.
Right.
But if it's salty and angry and mad at other players, criticizing teammates, and just there's no positivity anywhere, then it's a little awkward, I guess.
Okay. I have a question for chat and for both of you. Have you ever seen me? I know how I have felt on this side of the camera. Have you ever seen me like 100% angry, like actually genuinely angry to the point where it has been so uncomfortable of how angry I was that you like, I got to find something else to watch? Or have you ever just seen me that actually mad?
No, I think you fall in the category of you get frustrated because you die in a game or you're at a critical part and it's whatever, but it's never like that's not something that it doesn't ever last for more than a moment, and it's usually you bring that into your stream.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. I've seen you hit like a crescendo and then instantly it's just funny and you're laughing at yourself and it's like, wow, I can't fucking believe this.
Okay,
but it's never like you hit that crescendo and you just stay raging.
Keep going.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay.
And that kind of thing is totally fine.
Right. And every once in a while to get that way after playing video games live for so long. I see chat people saying, Jack 2. Fuck that game. That game definitely has made me.
That's probably the angriest I've ever seen you play a video game.
That's the one I'm thinking of, actually.
Okay.
I actually tuned in to watch you get angry.
God damn it, Jimmy.
There's some people that it's funny. Like I said,
it was funny.
It's funny to watch them get mad.
Those races, man. Those Jack 2 races. They killed me.
There's just terrible game design choices there, but you know, it was funny to watch you struggle through it because I remember playing that game way back and I remember raging the same way.
All right.
I don't think I've seen Jimmy get mad either, really.
I haven't either.
The most I've seen him get is playing user-designed levels on Mario. I forget what Mario
Maker 2.
I could feel how frustrated you were, but it was kind of funny because it was like a little bit of Schadenfreude, like taking joy in the misery of the streamer.
Platformers and old school games are the ones that make me rage the most. Because they're just so unforgiving, But
even then, it wasn't like ooh, weird.
Yeah, it's still you're still playing video games,
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure what I think I'm portraying is being received as portrayed, right? Because I don't think that I have ever been so mad, so angry, so triggered that it has resonated to the audience, and I don't think I've ever stopped playing a game because I was so angry. I know that I've gotten angry towards the end of the stream and it just happened to be time to end the stream, but I've never been like, just fuck this game, I'm out of here later. I don't think that's ever happened. But then again, my memory's not that great, so I like to ask those kind of questions. So okay. Next question from Platform Playa. This one is for Naaackers. I remember you going through tough times when you lost your job in the past. How did you overcome it, and how did you know that the job you had right now was the best fit for you? I think you're an IT field technician, right? Question mark. I was kind of in a unique situation. So I was working as a network and IT administrator as an on-site tech for 7 years. And there were red flags leading up to the company that I was looking for closing their doors or possibly just getting shut down. I didn't expect to get laid off when I did. It was a couple months early. I got laid off last June because Jimmy, you were here in July, right? And I had already been laid off for a couple weeks. So it was very unexpected. Thankfully, I had a good amount of savings, ready to go for a situation like that. Fortunately and unfortunately, I was streaming on Twitch, so I still had some sort of income. But because I was making income, I couldn't file for unemployment. So for the 13 weeks that I was unemployed, I only got unemployment checks 2 out of those 13 weeks because I was technically declaring income, every month for Twitch. So that kind of fucked me up. When I got the call, somebody had found my resume on Michigan's unemployment site and gave me a call, and that's how I have the job that I have now. At the time, I didn't think it was going to be for me because I was going to be a traveling technician where I was driving anywhere from 20 to 50 minutes to go to a client to fix their setup, which I was not familiar with whatsoever. So I can confidently say that I did not think the job that I got was going to be the right fit. What I believed in was I didn't know what I didn't know, and that there was a good chance that I was going to be a good fit in a different field than what I was used to. There's so many different fields within technology, and the chances of you only being a good fit for one tiny little piece of the pie is pretty low. So I would say the fact that I had a savings definitely came in handy. Twitch was a saving grace for not only my emotional stability, but financial. Having that income was definitely helped me out. The week that I got hired was the last week that I had savings. If I would have gone another week, I would have been in big fucking trouble. So it was scary. You know, it was a scary moment for me. It was something that I had never experienced in my 28 years of employment. And still now, I question if what I'm doing right now is the best for me. But at the end of the day, I love what I do. I love tech support. I love helping people. I love growing and learning with technology every day. So, you know, it's just kind of like you kind of just play as you go, right? There's no guarantees. Another job could come up, you know, a month from now, and I could go, that's my dream job. And then I could take it. And then my supervisor could be like a dude hating, you know, racist pig that just makes my life an absolute shit show. There's so many other variables that come into what makes your job a good job. So I think when you look at jobs on paper, it's easy to go, yeah, you know what, this isn't really what I want to do. You really have to just get into it and do it to figure out if it's going to fit for you or not. So hope that kind of answers it. I know that was all over the place, but next question from Made by Bowie. When you lose a passion for something, do you think it's possible to refine that passion? Will it ever be the same as when you first fell in love with it? How would you go about rekindling that passion?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, I think that I sort of got really passionate about art for a long time. And then I was in just a really awful, sort of abusive relationship. And so I was really depressed and I just kind of lost it. It's like everything just fizzled and I had no motivation to do art or anything like that. And then I moved into my own space a couple of years ago, and it was like unpacking those things into that new space just lit a fire and made me want to start painting again. And I think that also finding new ways to do those things that you're passionate about is also good. I started doing digital art, and that was like, oh my God, this is a game changer for me because it's non-committal. I can sit down for 10 minutes. I don't have to set anything up. And finding new ways to incorporate your passion into your everyday life, I think, without focusing on the loss of it, and maybe focusing on doing it more regularly, I guess, for me at least.
I can't think of too many things that I've been real passionate about that I lost, although there's one that is kind of interesting because it involves my job. So I've always loved sports, and particularly my favorite sports are coincidentally the two that I coach, football and soccer. I guess probably in the last couple of years, relatively recently, I was not enjoying football as much, watching games, and not for work. I mean, like for fun. And the reason being, my job requires me to work so much that I spend so much time like breaking down film and breaking down opponents and doing all that sort of stuff, that the joy of just enjoying a football game and watching sports was like gone, you know? And so to get back in my enjoyment, one thing I found that I started making some new traditions, like you were just saying, Casey, about find a new way to do something. So I would, I love wings. So if I wanted to watch a game, I would treat myself to some wings, and I would invite a buddy of mine to watch with me so I could, use some of my football. He always thinks I'm like this uber genius, like breaking down, like I can tell him like what this play is probably going to be. And I'm like, no, it's just I can show you what it is by formation. So it made me start enjoying being able to watch football games again. So I guess the best advice I can give is you can take a step back, or like Casey said, find a new way to enjoy your whatever it is you're passionate about.
I will say that what you're passionate about and how you feel about said passion is very much predicated on your surroundings and your situation. The one example that I can give is how I feel about streaming with a significant other that sees streaming as a waste of time and time away from her, compared to streaming with a significant other that shares the same passion, that knows that me putting time into my channel is time well spent, is a completely different mindset. So there can be a definite negative outside force that is making you feel shitty about the thing that you are passionate about. So I will say that it is extremely situational. If you are losing passion for the only thing that you are passionate about, I would say that's concerning. If you are losing passion for one thing, but you are beginning to get passionate about something else, just fucking roll with it. There's no reason that you should suppress your curiosity for this new thing because you feel like you shouldn't no longer be loving this other thing. Life goes in waves, man. There's ups and downs, obviously. But there's times where you're going to find interest and you're going to find love in certain things in certain times. And then your life is going to change and you might go back. For years, I really didn't care about video editing that much. I was super passionate about it in the beginning, and then I didn't give a shit. And then I started cooking, and then I started getting really interested in recording cooking. And then I started I would cancel a stream and say, guys, I can't stream. I'm so exhausted. I can't think about going live. And then I sat on the couch and I edited a video about cooking for 3 hours. And obviously the energy emitted on stream is way less than being a fucking potato on the couch with an iPad and editing video. But you'll find different ways to tie in new things that you love with things from the past. So whatever you're going with right now, just roll with it. If it's been years and you're like, man, I really don't love that thing anymore, there might be a reason and there might be something else on the horizon. So I would say don't be too critical with yourself. If you're not passionate about anything and you don't want to do anything, maybe it's time to have a conversation about it. But if you're just finding love in something else that isn't what you originally loved, just roll with it, man. It'll be all good.
Well, to piggyback off of that is, we were talking about not enjoying something or if you're liking other things. As long as you got plenty of other things to enjoy, it's fine. I used to love Naruto running everywhere, but ever since the Area 51 raids last week, now I just skip. Because it's become too mainstream. I just skip.
I still floss in public. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my God, please, no.
I do.
Please.
Yep.
Listen, you deserve to be publicly shamed. You deserve to be on Reddit somewhere. In Cringetopia.
I probably am somewhere. I just don't know it yet.
I feel like it's okay to let a candle go out as long as you've started to light a new one first.
That's a great way to put it. Great way.
As long as there's still light someplace.
Exactly. Okay, next question. Jimmy, on the first day of the school year, a history teacher was murdered while listening to the song Boner Champ. The police had 3 suspects: the gardener, the math teacher, the IT specialist. They all had alibis. The gardener was cutting bushes. The math teacher was holding a mid-year test. The IT specialist was helping out a teacher. The killer was arrested immediately. Who killed the history teacher? And how did the police solve the mystery? Good luck.
It was the IT specialist.
No.
$6.
Is this an inside joke that I don't know about?
No, I just came up with my answer.
Okay. There it is. The IT specialist.
Improv.
Don't at me.
Go. With a candlestick.
With a candlestick, right.
Yeah.
Next question from Testonomics. Naaackers, why don't you have an iPhone 11 Pro Max yet? Because I'm 2 months away from paying off my iPhone 10. As soon as I pay off this device, you bet your ass I'm upgrading because I am horny for that new iPhone. You're goddamn right.
I'm also 2 months away, but at least $50 a month.
And honestly, it doesn't bother me because I always like to see how the device does in the wild for the first month or two before I decide whether I want to upgrade or wait till the next one.
100%.
Yeah. Especially,
yes. Don't be an early adopter. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm 80% Apple sheet blind. I still have a little bit of logic baked inside my brain. And that is you don't buy new products within the first 2 months.
Be a skeptic. Be a little bit of a techno skeptic.
Yep. Ooh, I've never heard that before. Techno skeptic. I like that.
I just made it up just now. You're welcome. You're welcome to it. This is your show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stealing that trademark. You can't bring that anywhere else. Next question. Bearded Corvus. Rebel, how badly do you want to be reincarnated as an asshole goose?
Oh my God. If I die tomorrow and I'm not a goose, I will be very disappointed. because I would very much like to fuck with the gardener all day and just steal his keys and his hat and ruin his radio. I just feel like I'm, I may seem like a nice person, but inside I'm really already just an asshole goose. It's my, that's just, if I had a Patronus, it would probably be an asshole.
Oh my
I like
God.
that.
I love it. Tempest Born asks, Rebel, have you considered working in design / marketing for a manufacturer of decor?
Absolutely. And that's sort of the last company I worked for was a wholesaler. So it kind of was that, but we were in product conception and production and everything. And so we kind of had a bit of a rein on everything. And so it even got to the point where publishers were charging too much for their artists. So I started painting things to be sold to these buyers like TJ Maxx and Home Goods and stuff. And so I've had a hand in every part of the home decor process, but I would love to work with a company that has maybe more of an established brand that I can mold into something better. I would absolutely love that. Because the one I worked for was the wrong kind of small business, mismanagement of money, not a unified direction. And so they ended up going under, and that's how I lost my job. And so essentially it's, you have to pick a company that's not too large and not too small, because this one had 6 employees when I joined. And she didn't believe in the idea that social media was important. And she didn't believe that having a good website was important.
I am trying to get my current company to start to fucking invest, because they are not into social media at all. They do not do any targeted advertising on any of the social media platforms. Their website is there. But I keep trying to tell them, I'm like, you are going to drown eventually.
Yeah. If you don't rise with the tide, it'll just completely overtake you. And that's exactly what happened, along with, like I said, mismanagement of money, just living extravagantly. And it was really fun when I got to go to Vegas, to the Las Vegas market, and spend $100 a day per diem and stuff like that. But
hell yeah,
it kind of ended poorly because they just ran out of money. They couldn't pay their bills. And so, yeah, hell yeah, I'd love to work with a company that had an established brand that maybe needed a little bit of shaping.
In the words of Brad Pitt in the wonderful movie Moneyball, adapt or die.
Oh my God, I fucking love that movie.
I know that movie and that quote, they speak to me. The second to last question comes from Paul. What is the best thing to order at Taco Bell?
I know this is for me. I know this is for me. I have a Taco Bell emote.
Chicken Supreme Chalupas is my answer.
Did you just give a basic bitch answer, a menu item unmodified?
Chicken Supreme Chalupas or Chicken Supreme Gorditas. Either one of those, excellent. Go ahead. That's all I got.
Listen,
that's also the only thing I order from Taco Bell. Just
oh my God, you got to expand your horizons. There's so much. There's
Their beef and steak just wrecks me. I can only eat their chicken.
You need to jerk off okay. Knuckles up, Dan, for Christ's sake.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm sorry, Ruby. Go ahead.
So, okay, I'm going to lay some secret menu stuff on you right now. This is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Buy any burrito and replace the rice with potatoes, and it's 10 times better. Buy a mini shredded chicken quesadilla and a either nacho crunchy taco, a DLT, or a regular crunchy taco supreme. You know how they always break because they're like paper. You unfold the shredded chicken quesadilla and you place it delicately place the taco delicately into the quesadilla, refold, and eat it like a layered taco.
Oh my.
It's fucking mind-blowing, let me tell you. You can get chicken in the taco and on the quesadilla, so it won't wreck your bowels.
Double chicken!
Woo! Double chicken, okay. Those are two really good things. But I think my favorite thing, honestly, is their spicy potato tacos. They're only $1 a piece.
Okay.
And they're super filling. So 200 calories a piece, which is sort of within my realm of possibility for a meal. So I get 3 of them. And yeah, anything with nacho cheese, man. That's what I get.
My answer for this, and this is probably like my number one go-to, you get a cheesy gordita crunch, you sub in the Dorito Locos taco hard shell, you swap out beef for steak, and then you swap out sour cream for nacho cheese.
That is excellent.
That is my number one go-to modified item from Taco Bell.
Chef
Golly,
kiss.
that just sounds like
a
fucking-
masterpiece.
That sounds like my aorta would explode.
Oh my
like
God.
3 bites in.
Dude, it's so good. You get the half melted cheese in between the Dorito Locos taco and the soft shell, and then you get the flavor of the Dorito Locos, taco, the hard shell taco, and then you get the creamy nacho cheese. You get the tender steak instead of that ass beef that they put. I don't get anything beef from Taco Bell. Everything is steak from Taco Bell for me.
That nacho cheese is like liquid golden sunshine in your mouth.
Yep. Just like cheesesteaks don't need provolone, they need Cheese Whiz. Don't at me. You heard it here first.
I found a recipe for nacho cheese from Taco Bell, and I'm very close to perfecting it.
Oh,
it is
shit.
very
Okay.
close.
Okay.
Because I have a bone to pick with you, by the way, Naaackers. You once said that you won't order nachos, and I am offended by this because you said the cheese doesn't stay melted. You have to make your own nachos, by the way, because you'll probably make them better than most places will make them anyway.
I am not paid enough to make my own nachos.
You will make nachos.
Okay.
You'll like it. You make them for weenie.
Okay.
So you use queso instead of regular cheese. Problem solved.
Okay. That's fair. However, it's like how nobody understands why I don't like Five Guys. Because every Five Guys in the Metro Detroit area sucks the biggest dongers out of all the dongers. They're all bad. Every time we go get nachos somewhere, it's sprinkled fucking Mexican cheese on top and it's never good nachos ever.
You make your own nachos, man. You make those. You make them yourself, and you bake them in the oven instead of microwaving them. And the chips will stay crisp. The chips will stay I'm like Nacho Libre. The chips will stay crisp if you do that. And then you put the queso and everything. Let me tell you, loaded nachos. I made them on a cooking stream once. And we literally ate them like 2 Neanderthals slumped over a bear carcass. I don't know if they ate bear. I don't know. But literally, we just ate them right there on the kitchen counter. Like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. Nacho cheese, nachos. You gotta make them. And it's so easy to make queso. Just get a little pot on the stove, a little sour cream, jalapeno, little onion, little whatever kind of cheese you want, Velveeta, cheddar. It's all good. And then
The block of Velveeta, my wife makes this amazing queso using Velveeta block cheese. It's the best queso I've ever had. And it's fucking processed cheese. It's delicious.
Yep. If you want to be a little overachiever, you saute up some chorizo and then add the block of cheese. Easy.
Here's my number one problem with nachos. Approximately 70% of the toppings fall off in between grabbing said nacho and putting into your mouth. And you can shake your head no all you want. But every time nachos is involved, it's triple scooping to get all of the original ingredients into your mouth. Here's the
you are
addendum.
Not properly engineering your nachos.
Okay, addendum.
Sounds like a poor taco loader to me. This is user error as far as I'm concerned.
Nachos. I'm not talking about tacos. Okay.
I mean nacho loader. You know what I meant to say nacho.
You get scoops, and you just like how fucking Robert De Niro in Casino, he's like, I want equal fucking blueberries in every muffin. You have to organize all of the scoops, the Tostino scoops, and place same amount of ingredients in each scoop, and then do the nachos.
Oh my God. Listen, I'm disappointed.
I'm sorry.
So all you have to do is get the tortilla chips that aren't super thin because they're too flimsy and they will soak up the cheese and they'll be mushy and gross by the time you get to the last of them.
Correct.
You have to get the kettle cooked kind of tortilla chips, which is like from an actual Mexican market. They're thicker. They're almost double chips, right? Then you put a layer of chips. Then you put a layer of all of the toppings. Then you put a layer of chips. Then all of the toppings again. And then you do that as many times as your gluttonous heart desires. You cram it in the oven, and then you cram it in your face hole, and it's perfect every time.
All right. I will give it a shot, but I don't have high hopes. I'll say that.
I'm gonna
Have
give you
some
I'm gonna
faith.
give you a
Quit being
recipe.
such a nacho dubious guy. Come on. I'm telling you.
Do you know?
Option B, deconstructed nachos, where you just mix everything in a bowl and make a dip with it, I guess.
I'm way more inclined to do that. You know when you get like a shitty salad and you're poking at it for years. Oh Jesus, you're poking at it for years trying to like get something to stick to the fork. That's how I feel like eating nachos.
The ratios are all wrong. The ratios are wrong in that salad.
Okay.
Once you find the proper ratio of nacho cheese and corn salsa and black bean puree, oh my God, they're outstanding.
Salsa's overrated.
Even nacho
You
maquillo
take that
salsa.
back, you whore.
I said that to elicit a reaction. Okay, I promise.
Okay, all right. Just check.
Actually, at Taco Bell, if I get nachos Bel Grande, I ask them to just dump all of the toppings in a tray, and then I just scoop it up later. If I have to take it to go, I will separate the two things that cannot touch. But if you're gonna eat them right away, just layer those motherfuckers, man. That's all you gotta do.
All right, I believe you. All right, like Paul said, Harvest Cheddar Sun Chips for life. Every other flavor is inferior. Next question from Paul. What brand, and this is our last question, what brand juice packs reigns supreme through the land?
Kool-Aid Jammers. Don't at me.
I think we're talking about battery packs.
No.
I'm pretty sure we're talking about cell phone battery packs and not...
Are we?
Maybe.
No.
Okay.
I went straight
he's talking
to
about
things
juice
that
boxes.
I can drink.
Either
Okay.
like the little box drinks that you drink. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Kool-Aid Jammers are the best. Specifically, the grape flavor. Or, as I like to call it, purple flavor.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never had Kool-Aid.
Well, welcome to coming to episode 105 of the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. We have to end the show now.
Right fucking now.
I did not even say that to elicit a response. There's a lot of childhood sugary favorites I missed out on. But I'm going to give you a really hipster bullshit answer. I really like the lingonberry juice boxes from IKEA. They're so little.
Okay, that's fair.
They're delicious.
Who remembers the Kool-Aids that came with a pill of something that you used to drop into the Kool-Aid to get it to change color? Does anybody remember that? There was a Kool-Aid.
That was just the guy in the windowless white van who was selling that in your neighborhood. That wasn't anywhere else you could find.
Yeah. There was a Kool-Aid where, okay, so you have that like top plastic piece that breaks off, right?
I know what you're
That's
talking
Kool-Aid?
about.
Wait.
Yeah.
I thought Kool-Aid was only the powdery kind.
It has that. You can buy Kool-Aid pre-mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've had a Kool-Aid. I have eaten one Kool-Aid.
I have had one Kool-Aid.
It was blue flavor, and I enjoyed it very much.
Good. Okay. There's a Squeeze It color change. Oh, was it Squeeze It and not Kool-Aid, or is Squeeze It Kool-Aid?
Squeeze It's not Kool-Aid. It's a different brand, but it's like Kool-Aid. It's one of those brands.
Okay. But yeah, it had a tiny little pill of sugary goodness that you would break off and you would drop into the drink, and then it would change color after the fact. Like,
I
we're
don't
worried.
remember this at all.
Our country's worried about vaping. What about these pills that we would put in kids' drinks and market it strictly to kids? Oh my God. All right, there's links in chat that I'm gonna have to save for later. I would say I don't
really
know.
want to go back. Have you guys ever had High C?
Yes,
You guys
I have.
know the High C boxes?
Yeah.
That's some old school shit.
I
right
see.
there.
I think I don't know. Any sugary something or other I ever had was at my neighbor's house because my mom, we had like a kashi brown bread kind of household. So I still have never tried like Captain Crunch or anything like that. And so anything I got to try was at my neighbor Michael and Jordan's house. Not Michael Jordan. My neighbor Michael and Jordan. I think I still haven't tried Gushers or any of those things, but I got to try like Kool-Aid, which was the twisty top thing. I'm trying to remember what else. I think I tried Tricks there for the first time, but I think that's honeycomb. I think that's about as far as we went. I think we had honeycomb at home though. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just really out of the loop on. So
Weenie makes a mean Captain Crunch shredded potato casserole that is baked in a crock pot that you must try at one point in your life because it's fantastic.
That sounds delightful, actually. I feel like anything casserole is so good. What happened to casseroles? Tater tot casseroles with
There's
gravy?
still a big thing in the South.
Yeah.
We do a lot of casseroles in the South.
Hipsters everywhere discovered sous vide and abandoned casseroles forever.
It's true, but I've moved on from sous vide. Now I'm into the reverse sear.
Reverse sear all day. That's how we did that tomahawk steak, Jimbo.
Perfect. It's so good.
God damn it.
I knew it. The minute I saw that thing on Twitter, I was like, he used some special technique.
It's one of the best steaks I've ever had, and I've had a lot of steak.
There's nothing like a good reverse sear nut. It's God damn it. It's great. For me, I'm pretty basic, and I just have to go Capri Sun. Although I always remember being underwhelmed with the amount of Capri Sun.
Which flavor? There's a lot. There's some that are ass and some that are good.
Honestly, in my youth, I could not tell you what flavor was which. I just knew Capri Sun was the flavor.
Wasn't there like a surf rider or something?
I remember surfing being a major part of my childhood.
That one.
I know what you're talking about now. I can't remember the name, but that's actually one of the decent ones.
Okay.
There's Glacial Cherry or something. Too. Glacial Cherry I always hated, but there was like some surfer something flavor. That was that one.
Did I tell you guys about the time that I was emotionally assaulted via Capri Sun by a child at my most recent family get-together?
No.
I remember talking about this on stream at some point, but I was digging around in the cooler looking for a drink for myself, and some like 4-year-old kid came up and said, "Give me a Capri Sun." And then so I'm like, "Okay, I'll grab one for you." And so I grabbed it and I gave it to him, and he goes, "No, you got to do the straw for me." And they gave it back, and so I started unpacking the straw to pierce this pouch of liquid. And while I was doing that, he walked back to his little kid table and sat down. And I said, "Where are you going? I have your Capri Sun." And he goes, "No, just bring it to me. I'm eating." And he made me walk over to his table and put the Capri Sun on the table for him while he was shoveling cake into his stupid juice-faced kid mouth.
You failed the test.
Yeah,
you failed the test.
God, I felt like
That
such a little bitch.
Used you. Oh.
Yeah.
I literally had to open up a Capri Sun for a child and walk it to his table for him. His stupid play school orange and blue table. Fucking infuriating.
What you were supposed to have done is you were supposed to take the Capri Sun and smash it on your face as the juice like squirts everywhere to assert your dominance, and then just drop it on his shoes and then walk away.
Mic drop, your stupid light up Skechers, you little bitch!
Emotionally traumatizing would also be to bend the straw so that it slits halfway down, and so he couldn't finish it all the way.
Ah, yeah. That
Or
was a smart move.
poke it into the pouch and then poke it out so you're actually not kidding. Oh, the next fucking 2-year-old that comes up to me demands a Capri Sun, I'm doing that. Oh, God.
Please.
All right. Well, that is it for the question and answer. And unfortunately, that is it for the end of the show. So what we're going to do is one final time, go around the room, reintroduce you guys to everybody that is here. And they will talk about anything that they have coming up in their lives. And then we'll close this out. So MiddleAgedStream, who are you? Where can we find you online?
My name is Jimmy, aka MiddleAgedStream. You can find me on Twitch and Instagram at MiddleAgedStream, MiddleAgedStream on Twitter, and Girthy Goose Lover at FarmersOnly.com. My next stream will be Wednesday. We're going to finish up Uncharted Lost Legacy. And then Saturday may or may not happen. It's my wife's birthday, so it's totally up to her what she wants to do. If she wants to pack it in early, then get it. See what I
Pack it in. Hey.
then we'll just see. That one's up in the air, but I'll let you guys know. So
Jimmy's a puss stuffing machine. He is the fucking Terminator of puss.
Except on Twitter, because he has no D.
exactly.
This is true.
Exactly.
Well, I am RebelRuby, also known as Casey. You can find me on Instagram, Casey Ruth. I'm on Twitch and Twitter as RebelRuby_. I stream at a really, just undefinable schedule. And basically, if you want to keep up with me, just check out my Twitter. I'm trying to stream most days of the week in the evenings. I'm also working on, I think it should be just about ready once I order the samples. I'm making some taco holster fanny packs and some Neato taco hot sauce backpacks pretty soon. So those will be on Twitter as well. But yeah, that's what I'm up to. So there you go.
Awesome. My name is Naaackers. You guys can find me on this very channel or on Twitter and Instagram at Naaackers with 3 A's. Thank you guys so very much for coming out to this episode, number 105 of Crocs and Hot Pockets. Reminder, there will be no podcast next Sunday, and there will be no streams for me for probably a week and a half because I will be at TwitchCon. And when I get home, I actually have to reformat my streaming PC. So there's probably going to be a couple days in between TwitchCon and me being able to stream again. But hey, if you guys are going to be at TwitchCon, please let me know. Come and find me. We'll hang out for a little bit, say hello, grab a beer. But RebelRuby, Casey, thank you so fucking much for coming on the podcast. It was awesome to finally get you. It was awesome to have you on. I've been looking to do it for a long time, and we will definitely have you on again. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for checking out the podcast. And for all you audio listeners in the future, appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. We will see you in 2 weeks for episode 106 of the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast, which is
Later.
no guess yet. But for the one after that, we have a guest which we will not talk about yet. But yeah, anyways, you guys all have a great night. Thank you again. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
You fuckers.